Hello, 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 hello. We are live. Folks, I think we're live. Yes, I see myself now. Let me hear myself. Live. Folks, I think we're live. Yes, I see myself now. Let me hear myself. Live. Folks, I think we're live. Okay. Move this a little bit closer. In case I need to move a little closer to mic myself, you know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta do it. Sometimes someone's trying to speak over you and you gotta be speaking over them, you know what I'm saying? It's just strategy, folks. But folks, we're streaming, we're back. A lot of stuff happened since I last streamed. It's actually crazy how much stuff has happened since I last streamed. RFK embarrassed himself in front of the Senate. What else? What else? What else? Someone says they had this. Oh. Well, I'm just replying to a YouTube comment. Alright, folks. Oh, let me open a Google Voice. Fellas, if you see what I have to say here and you disagree with what I have to say, if you think that Donald Trump is looking out for the working class, number one, honestly, what's wrong with you? But number two, we can have that conversation. We can have that debate. You know, they talk about the marketplace of ideas. Folks, this is the marketplace of ideas, the Nathan Galang YouTube channel. Let's have the tough conversations, folks. Let's find the truth through, reason and logic, all that fun stuff. You feel me? We love reason and logic, folks. I'm just opening the stream on my phone to give myself a little bit of an algorithm boost as much as possible, you know what I mean? You gotta grind like that. You gotta do what you need to do to grind. Anyway, I have the voice, or I have the phone line open. I'm gonna put a little bit of music in the background while we wait. But yeah, I mean, where to even start with all the news? I mean, RFK got grilled today by Bernie Sanders in particular, and it was wonderful to see. Elgar says hello, or say hi. I say hello. Hello, how are you doing? Thank you for watching the stream. If you enjoy what you see, feel free to subscribe and all that fun stuff. But RFK got grilled today, and it was wonderful to see. When Bernie Sanders was grilling him, he couldn't answer a question directly, and it was very revealing, I feel, that this guy is not some truth teller. He's just another politician. He's just another opportunist, and he saw an opportunity to latch on to MAGA like a leech. He doesn't really believe in much. Maybe he believes in the crazy vaccine stuff, or maybe it's a way of him making money. I honestly don't know, but he couldn't answer the question about universal health care, which I believe he used to hold the position that he supported universal health care. I mean, I'll search that. Did RFK ever support universal health care? Yes, Robert F. Kennedy did support universal health care. Okay. In the 2024 presidential campaign, he expressed a desire to improve the healthcare access and affordability while emphasizing skepticism towards the pharmaceutical companies while he supported reforms to increase access. Okay, he hasn't fully supported single payer, but he supported universal, it seems. Nah. It says he prefers market-based solutions, so maybe he's being consistent. He's just wrong. In other news, what else has been happening? Trump almost started a trade war with Colombia. Colombia got what they wanted. The president of Colombia didn't want any people being deported to Colombia to be put into unsafe and dangerous conditions in military planes where they had no AC, where they weren't given food, where they had to piss themselves. Instead, he wanted them to be coming through his presidential plane, and that does seem to be what is happening. So those tariffs have not gone through, both the tariffs going to the U.S. and the tariffs coming from the United States. So we avoid that for now. Either a day later or a few days later, Donald Trump tried to freeze all federal money going to a bunch of different things. Now, there were some contradictions from MAGA World. His press secretary, which he hasn't always had very truthful press secretaries, is saying that it wouldn't affect your Medicaid and Medicare and welfare and so on and so forth. I have a bit of doubts about that personally because I just don't trust any Trump press secretary. But in general, even if that was the case, it's still not the president's power to just put all federal funds on hold. That's why a judge shot it down, and that's why there was immense public pressure, and that's why he backed down from that. So another failure there. Um, Robin says, "Thank God the criminals got AC on the plane." You're implying that they're all criminals. There are cases of veterans being arrested, and I don't consider our veterans inherently criminals, right? They are trying to send ICE agents into schools and churches. I don't know if you think that a bunch of churchgoers, grandmas are criminals, or a bunch of like literal children are criminals, but or Sunday school kids are criminals. But I know MAGA, they just see crossing a border and murder as practically the same thing. But yes, even when doing deportations, you have to not make torturous conditions, and you should have a standard, and you should respect human dignity. Now, Donald Trump is interested in bringing these people uh, to Guantanamo Bay, a place known for torture. Um, so, yeah. Robin says, were there children on the plane? I don't know about that plane specifically, but when you open up the deportations to raid schools, it's implying that children will be targeted. When you have a quota of like 1,000 people a day or whatever it was, I don't know if it's 1,000 people a day or 1,000 people a week, yes, children will also be put in. Uh, and already there is cases of American citizens and veterans being caught in the crossfire. So that's not cool. Also, it's just economically stupid to deport uh, illegal immigrants, especially when you consider that 80% have been in this country for 10 years, a decade, over a decade, and they've been providing for this country. They've been paying tax. They've been putting food on your table as they toil in the fucking fields. Now, I say they should become American citizens so they get the same protections as their American counterparts. But you guys say just deport them. Don't worry about the potential labor shortages, even though it is right wing libertarians that say, yeah, this would cause labor shortages and would also be very expensive to go through with. And again, when it comes to expenses, one of the ways you pay for things is not by having the president freeze all federal money going through the system unilaterally, which is unconstitutional. That's not how you fund the government. You know, not very good policy. But folks, if you disagree, if you want to call in and have a conversation, we can have a conversation. If you think, for example, that Donald Trump firing a member of the National Labor Relations Board in an unprecedented way when she was supposed to be able to finish her term, essentially freezing all action being done by the National Labor Relations Board. So, cases related to abuse of labor law. If you think that that's a good move for the working class, I mean, you can feel free to call in and have a conversation. We can talk about that. If you think, for example, trying to colonize and conquer Greenland and Canada and Mexico and Denmark and Panama is Trump being anti-war, the anti-war candidate, the peace candidate, the dove. Well, I strongly disagree, but I would love to have a conversation about that. We can also look at him designating the cartels a terrorist group, which is a green light to doing military action without actually a declaration of war. It's a tactic we use throughout the entire war on terror. Last time I checked, if you are anti-war, you are likely also critical of the war on terror. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is using war on terror tactics in order to do more war. Donald Trump also seems content to pause all foreign aid except for foreign aid going to Israel, of course. Our money must go to Israel. $20 billion to Israel, of course. But he will get rid of a program that was able to save 25 million people, by the way, started by Republicans. 25 million people from dying of HIV. You know? Not great. Personally, not great. Guys, he's been shit, bro. He's been shit. He's been the best gift for China this country has ever seen. Because while he intends to isolate this country from the globe, China will fill the power vacuum. Example, right off the bat. Pull out a WHO, World Health Organization, because the people that are real into the COVID conspiracies, and some people are going to be offended at me saying that, well, that was a bone to them. You know, that was a little treat for them. Oh, we're getting out of the WHO, the World Health Organization, as bird flu looms over our country. What does China do? Well, China says, we're not leaving. In fact, we will support you. We will keep this ship together. We will keep this world together. When it comes to trade, when Donald Trump is threatening trade wars with everybody, Canada, Mexico, China, nearly half of all the trade coming into this country. Allies, like in Europe and Japan and Taiwan and Colombia. When he's threatening trade wars with literally everybody, he gives China an amazing opportunity to be an example of a stable partner in economics. And that's dumb. Donald Trump is running this country in an extremely dumb way. You know what else is dumb in my view, but it's not exactly stupid because I understand the purpose. Donald Trump removed an executive order from the Biden administration, which made it so that it is harder for administrative staff to be corrupt. Meaning they can't take bribes, meaning they can't become lobbyists in 2 years, or so on and so forth. I haven't looked at the exact executive order in a bit of saw it a few days ago, so it's kind of not fresh off the top of my head, but more corruption. That's great. Come on. Come on. Let me look up the details of that bill specifically, or that executive order specifically. Folks, if you disagree with what I have to say and you think that Donald Trump is looking out for the regular person, the regular worker, you, your family, your friends, all those people, if you believe this genuinely, call into the number above my head and we can have a conversation in the marketplace of ideas, folks. Trump reverses Biden executive order on administrative corruption. Give me details. I'm curious about it. It's been a bit since I saw it. Been a few days, which honestly is not that long ago, but because there's so much news. Yeah, ethics. Okay, here it is. January 20th, 2025. First day in, Donald Trump rescinded several executive orders implemented by Joe Biden, including the ethic commitments of executive branch personnel, which imposed... Oh, we got a caller. Hello? You calling? What's on your mind? Okay. I saw like a business with that number, so I was wondering if that was a prank. But I heard myself in the background, so I guess not. Well, gentlemen from the Austin Quick Mart, feel free to call in and have a conversation. I don't know why you would call in and not have a conversation. That's a little bizarre to me, but it's your prerogative, I guess. But again, going back to the point. The ethics commitments by executive branch personnel, which had imposed restrictions on the executive branch employees from receiving gifts from lobbyists, suspended and suspended bans on lobbyists from taking executive ban. Oh no, it's saying what the effects are. Okay. Mills says, "Return to your homeland." And now I'm curious, Mills, where do you think I was born? Based on my accent. Let's go based on that. I think you're smart enough to guess. Nathan says, "Spelled Biden wrong." Actually, I think Biden so far is did a better job than Trump in his first few days, first week or so. He didn't, for example, remove an executive order on ethics, which allowed for more corruption, like Donald Trump did. Mills says, "You're not European." Well, if you're in America, no one here is European. We live in America. Right? Anyway, I think that there should be bans on lobbyists giving gifts to executive branch personnel. I think that that's perfectly fair. And if you're a Trump supporter and you believe in drain the swamp, well, you should believe in the same thing. Let's drain the swamp. Let's get rid of the corruption. Unfortunately, I don't think you guys are willing to do that. But if you support the corruption that Donald Trump is pushing onto this country, forcing onto this country, you can call in. Had a nice meal before eating or before streaming. It's a good time. But I noticed, I think particularly after Trump became president, Dave Miller asked what corruption. So there was a executive order passed under Biden. I know you guys don't like Biden, but that's fine. It was an ethics related. It prevented executive branch employees from taking gifts from lobbyists. It prevented them from becoming lobbyists for at least 2 years or so. It was not exactly a full-on anti-corruption reform like I would want, but it was little steps against corruption. And on day one, Donald Trump removed it, which I think is kind of shitty. Not great. But it's not surprising. This is a guy that sold Bibles, gold sneakers, watches that didn't even exist, but you could order it without necessarily getting it. He scammed his audience, his fan base, his supporters, his voters with cryptocurrency, meme coins, shit coins, whatever it is. And this is the guy that we expected to drain the swamp. Of course he's not going to drain the swamp. He is the swamp. He's outright said it. He said, "I used to donate. I was donating to the politicians. They're extremely corrupt." He knows. Dane says so. Dane, you don't have a problem with the President of the United States scamming MAGA? So let me get this straight. Hawk Tuah girl can get a lot of shit for doing the same damn thing, but then when Trump does the same damn thing, it's okay because he's Trump. The president can enrich himself billions and billions of dollars through cryptocurrency while he's president, and there should be no concern. Dane says, just like every other president we had, Dane, no other president in American history had a meme coin. Okay, well, you know what, Dane? Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you, brother. No, I don't blame Hawk Tuah either. Okay? You are on the side of Hawk Tuah girl when it comes to Hawk Tuah's, Hawk Tuah coin or whatever. Hawk coin. If you think Hawk coin is good and Hawk Tuah girl is completely innocent, brother, I kind of just feel sorry for you, man. These people are fucking scammers, dog. These people are fucking scammers. And you're like, yeah, no, they can do their pump and dumps, it's fine. Donald Trump can have insiders owning 80% of his coin right when the coin has been, is released. 80% of the wallet is already owned by insiders. Dane says, "Lol, I have no sympathy for people who fall for scams." Well, you know what? The people that are going to fall for, particularly the Trump coin, are the MAGA base. They're not exactly people I would make friends with on a personal day, you know, on a personal basis. But honestly, I do feel bad for them because nobody should be scammed. Nobody should be scammed. Dennis asks, how do you feel about Sleepy Joe's pardons? I feel like they were a little excessive, but you know, none of his pardons were as bad as Donald Trump, who pardoned those January 6th terrorists, one of which I think is dead right now. Hold on. Jan 6 rioter killed by police. Indiana man pardoned by Trump for January 6th is shot and killed by deputy during arrest. Police say Matthew Huddle was resisted arrest, fought with a deputy in Indiana before he was fatally shot. I guarantee you, brother, I guarantee you that this motherfucker got pardoned by the president and thought he was invincible. Okay? Also, even going beyond to the first presidency, the first Trump presidency, I think that Donald Trump's pardons were significantly worse than anything Joe Biden did, especially when you consider Jared Kushner's dad, you know, Donald Trump's son-in-law's dad. I was looking at the stuff that he was convicted of, and that shit is wild, bro. Convicted of illegal campaign contributions, tax evasion, witness tampering, and was sentenced for 2 years. And then there was something specific about his sister. Here you go. In June 30th, 2004, Kushner was fined $508,000 by the FEC for contributing to Democratic political campaigns in the name of his partnership when he lacked the authorization to do so. In 2005, he followed an investigation by United States Attorney. Oh, okay. Just to be clear here, you're in support of your president pardoning a guy that did what was this? Campaign contribution related crimes. Well, donating to Democrats, by the way. You support Democrats. Anyway, as I was saying, plea deal, which he pleaded guilty to 18 counts of illegal campaign contributions, tax evasion, witness tampering. The witness tampering also. Wait, where's the thing about his sister? Where's the thing about his sister? Hold on. Sister. Hold on. Here you go. This is the freaky thing. But I think he also got in legal trouble for this. The witness tampering charge. Yeah. It's the witness tampering charge. The witness tampering charge arose from Kushner's retaliation against William Shoulder, his sister Esther's husband. That's a weird name to say. Who was cooperating with federal investigators against Kushner. Kushner hired a prostitute to seduce his brother-in-law, arranging to record a sexual encounter between the two, send the tape to his sister, and he was sentenced for 2 years in prison and served 14 months in a federal prison in Montgomery, Alabama, before being sent to the halfway house in Newark, New Jersey to complete it. This is the guy, because he's related to Trump's son-in-law, that Donald Trump pardoned. So again, when you guys are like, oh my gosh, the people Biden pardoned, y'all set the standard, to be clear. And now Donald Trump, he pardoned white supremacists. There was a guy with a Camp Auschwitz certs at January 6th that got pardoned. There were people that bear sprayed police officers. There were people that injured police officers. There were people that were trying to stop the democratic process from happening. And there's people now that are released that literally were resisting arrest, fighting police because they thought they were fucking invincible, and then they got shot as a result. This person, Nathan, says, Hunter smokes crack on video. Yeah, you know, honestly, I think Jared Kushner's dad hiring a prostitute to seduce his brother-in-law as retaliation for cooperating with federal investigators to record him and to use it, I guess, to send sexual content to his own sister. I think that's a little crazier than doing fucking crack, honestly. Honestly. But folks, you guys can be keyboard warriors, and we can have a conversation. You guys can call in, and the number above my head, 305-209-5560, and we can have that conversation. Trump gonna catch a 223? I don't know what a 223 is. But either way, I mean, yeah. Prove any of your accusations and then we'll talk. Okay. FEC finds developer. Briefing. This is a New York Times from 2016 about when Kushner was fined. In 2005, the U.S. state attorney for the District of New Jersey negotiated a plea deal with him, where he accepted the plea deal, guilty to 18 counts of illegal campaign contributions. All right, is reported by the New York Times, New York Times again, and New York Times again. So 3 different articles. This was a decade ago. And you can bring it up with the attorney for the District of New Jersey, and witness tampering charge did happen. So I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You can go to the fucking courts if you got a problem with what I'm saying. I gave you the fucking sources. If you think that motherfucker should be pardoned, and you're so outraged about Hunter Biden being pardoned, this, that, or the other, I mean, go fucking cry about it. Pull it up and show me. Brother, you're not in my fucking house right now. It's not like we're on the computer together. I'm doing a vertical stream. I got limited space. I don't pull up shit on this stream. You can look up the criminal convictions of Charles Kushner, who Donald Trump pardoned. Why was he in literal federal prison in Montgomery, and then he went to the halfway house in Newark, New Jersey? Like, brother, he went to jail. I did. They seem to be full of holes. I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you're talking about the holes between the bars or the prison cell. I don't fucking know what to tell you. This motherfucker went to jail, brother. This motherfucker went to jail. But again, none of you are really acting like... Okay, wait. Seems like they pushed this dude into a situation he didn't try to be. Nobody pushed Charles Kushner to hire a prostitute, dog. Nobody pushed Charles Kushner to hire a prostitute. Nobody forces you to donate to commit campaign finance crimes. Who the fuck forces you to commit campaign finance crimes? Nobody did that. Are you insane? What are you talking about? Who's out here casually hiring a prostitute to fuck your brother-in-law so you can record it? How rewarding is talking to the to the MAGA people for you? Well, it's good content. I mean, it gets the numbers up. Just straight up. How do you pardon anyone when you're incompetent? I don't know what you're referring there, Nick. Leon says, poor groomer. Again, you guys aren't arguing anything. Y'all gotta go to the ad hominems or whatever the fuck you call it. Y'all can't actually argue in favor of your boy. Y'all can't actually argue in favor of the policies. Folks, call in. This guy says Hunter was bringing hookers across state lines. Yeah. But Jared Kushner's dad was hiring a prostitute to fuck a witness that was testifying against him, his brother-in-law, to send to his sister. As far as I understand, if Hunter Biden did crack and fucked a prostitute, that is significantly less weird than recording your brother-in-law having sex so you can send it to your sister. I haven't mentioned a single policy so far. I mentioned policies specifically, like getting rid of the ethics commitments by executive branch personnel, which impose restrictions on executive branch employees of receiving significant gifts and becoming lobbyists, which Donald Trump removed on day one. I talked specifically about unconstitutionally trying to freeze all federal funds going into the different aspects of the government. I talked about trying to start a trade war with Colombia. I talked about trying to start a trade war with Canada, Mexico, Greenland, excuse me. He's not trying to start a trade war with Greenland. He's trying to invade Greenland. Canada, Mexico, and China. Colombia was also on that list, and that would have been a great benefit to China, by the way. And of course, he wants to invade Greenland. He wants to invade Denmark. He wants to invade Mexico. And he wants to invade Panama. And Canada too. Dane says, trade wars are in favor for Trump. Brother, I would love to know how. Call in the number above my head. I would love to know how. And you're saying, and when I'm talking about going to war with other fucking nations. You guys said that Donald Trump was the pro-peace candidate. Leon says, so you basically made our point for us. Trump was the right choice. Yes. Going to war with your fucking neighbors and your allies. What a great choice. What a great anti-war choice. Y'all said he was anti-war. Y'all ran on that. I know y'all are dishonest and all that shit, but I would like to expect that regular people like yourselves that aren't working for the campaign are a little bit more honest. But unfortunately, you guys are pro-war and you're disgusting. You're disgusting. You guys are Dick Cheney. You guys are the people that cheerleaded us into fucking Iraq. Okay? Make that very fucking clear. Oh no, Liz Cheney is fucking campaigning with Kamala Harris. Liz Cheney voted with Donald Trump 95% of the time. Let's say you agree with Donald Trump's positions completely, fully 100. You agree with Liz Cheney 95%. I guarantee you if you go issue by issue by issue by issue by issue, the only fucking thing me and Liz Cheney are going to agree on is saying that the election wasn't stolen in 2020. But when it comes down to the policy, there is no policy agreement I have with Liz Cheney. Dane says, do you hear yourself? I hear myself. Nathan says, you are lying about January 6th. Where am I lying? Y'all tried to stop an election from happening because you didn't like the result. And you failed. And Donald Trump let out people, one of which literally got themselves fucking killed because he was caught by the cops on a roadside stop, and he got shot because he was resisting arrest because this motherfucker definitely felt invincible because Donald Trump pardoned him. Dane says he lied about everything. Where did I lie about anything? Tell me where's the lie, brother? Leon, you can call. You can absolutely call. Right now. Call in. Leon says, nonsense. Brother, if I'm saying nonsense, call in, brother. What are you talking about? Jan 6 dude dying from the cops. Who cares? Why does that imply? Brother, it means that Donald Trump has let out these dangerous motherfuckers who try to overthrow an election. And one of the examples of those dangerous motherfuckers got themselves killed. So unfortunately, you're saying these guys that got released on January because of what they did on January 6th, they're wonderful, wonderful people. Motherfucker got killed. Leon says the January 6th is right. Call in, Leon. Call in. Would love to have the conversation. 602 area code. What's on your mind? 602 area code. What is on your mind?
Hey, man. Just seen your show a couple of times in the feed that I'd call in.
Yeah.
See your, I listen to you from every now and then, and kind of wanted to see where your head's at. A lot of things I don't necessarily agree with, and wanted to see from the root cause of it why you think the Trump presidency is going to hurt the average American.
Yeah, well, we go through, we can talk about his record from his first term, we can talk about his promises from the campaign trail, and we can talk about some of the policies that are being done in his first week of being president. I guess we'll start with the promises. Everything he's promised to do will raise costs on regular people, whether we're talking about his tax plan, which will raise costs on 95% of Americans, only cutting taxes for the top 5%, whether we're talking about the tariffs, which will hurt American industry, which will be put onto the American consumer, which will not work in any of its goals, which will make an opening for China to become a dominant, stable economic power in the world for people to turn to, or whether we're talking about the mass deportations, which if, say, they got what they wanted and 40% of our agriculture workforce was removed from this country, 40% of agriculture workers are undocumented, we would also see costs going up, and particularly in food, which is particularly dangerous. Also, he did promise multiple times that he would lower costs through the campaign trail. He's not doing that. Okay. He did promise to be the I'll finish with this. This is the final point. Yeah. He did promise to be the anti-war candidate, and now he's pretty much threatening war with multiple of our neighbors, including allies Canada, Mexico, Panama, Greenland, and Denmark, which is insanity.
Okay. I just want to lay out really quick. I hope to convince you, in at least at the very end, that there's voices of reason for people that support Trump. I'm not gonna try to. I hope you can see where I come from at the very end of this. Let's start with the thing where you said that Trump's plans will ultimately raise taxes for everyone except for the wealthy.
Yeah.
That was the first point, right? Here's Here is what I offer.
Uh-huh.
The TCGA lowered
You're talking about the
tax.
2017, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
2018. But yeah. It's like
Yeah.
the TCGA
It
lowered
got
tax.
into play in 2018, was signed into law in
Right.
2017.
Right. I
But
mean,
even then,
okay. So
yeah.
it lowered tax like it just did for everybody under income tax, except for one bracket. For one aspect of it, for
Well,
one little thing.
it's been around for a
You
while,
know.
so we can actually look at who it benefits. Again, there's the famous statistic of 83% of the benefits going to the top 1%, and we can actually look at the benefits that the
Oh,
bottom quintile's gotten. The lowest quintile got $70 extra. The second quintile, the second lowest quintile, which encompasses half of all earners in this country that make between $27,000 to $53,000, only got $390. So you can say, yes, they
okay.
got some money, which I get that, but that will go away with a
Mm,
few grocery store trips.
right. Okay. I hear you. But I want to just really return to
And
something
it
basic here,
blew up
because
the
what you're
deficit too. Just to be clear,
okay.
blew up the deficit
But
for
what?
like $70.
Okay. It, what you're talking about are aggregates and averages, looking at data samples from large numbers and saying, on average, a person saved or was refunded X amount. I'm not even focused on that number, right? I'm saying that the rate at which someone was taxed, if you were married and you made jointly $200,000, prior to that, you paid 28%. And then with the TCGA, you now pay 24%. Like, it's a reduction in income tax. So
Yeah, I mean,
it seems that that's a solid record,
we can cut. It's not really a solid record. I mean, one of the conservative principles is fiscal responsibility. It's the opposite of fiscal responsibility to cut revenues while raising cost and blowing up the deficit. And simply right now, what we don't need is just more and more tax cuts. We've gotten more and more tax cuts year after year after year after year. We can have some tax cuts for the middle class. I'm not against it, but again, 83% of the benefits went to the top 1%. This bill was not really written for the lowest and second quintile, okay? It wasn't written for half of all Americans, more than half of all Americans. It was written for 1% of Americans. And that's complete fiscal irresponsibility.
I mean, I don't think it was. I don't. If it was, I don't agree with that, because if it was written for the top 1% of America, then you would see just a tax cut for the top 1% of America, but it's a tax cut across the board in income tax.
Yeah, like again,
Okay?
like
So it
$70
benefits
or
the 1%
$400
of
at most.
America.
Yeah, like $70
Right.
for a good portion, or $400 at most, goes away in a couple grocery strips, doesn't even cover rent. It really is not that significant. But what is more significant is the benefits that the top 1% got from it, is the benefits that the corporations got from it, is the benefits that the finance economy got from it. You know, the people that will take that extra money they got from their businesses, not put it to their workers, but put it into stock buybacks. It's significant for those people, and that's why I say it's a bill for the top 1%.
Did the TCGA even affect corporate tax?
I believe it does.
I thought it was just for income tax.
Yeah.
Wrong.
It did affect corporate tax. Yeah.
Do you know what was the previous rate? I would still offer, even it is permitted that it lowered it, because I don't know if it raised or lowered
from 35 to
tax.
21%.
It's pretty good. Okay.
It's not necessarily good because I understand the theory with getting rid of corporate tax or lowering corporate tax. The idea is you let the company have more money and it'll go back to the company. It'll go back to the workers. Maybe you'll hire more workers. Maybe you'll expand. The thing is, what we see is not really that's the case. We haven't seen, for example, they have more money, they can lower prices. We don't see that. We see it goes back in stock buybacks.
You see but that's the fallacy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once the good is set at a specific price, a company, other than free market competition, has no incentive whatsoever to lower the price.
Of course.
So
of course.
You have,
but at least you could say, but at least maybe
tax,
it could go to the workers, right? Maybe it could make a pay raise, right? But it doesn't tend to do that.
Okay. But no, it doesn't. It doesn't. If it's 35% for the corporate tax, and you have an Apple, and it's $1 for 35% with the corporate tax, right? If you raise the tax, you and I, it sounds like you're somewhat educated. The Apple's going to go up in cost.
Not necessarily.
They're
The
just gonna
idea
no
is that the
necessarily. They're
wait,
gonna
hold
pass
on.
that
No, no,
tax
no, no,
law.
no,
They're
no,
gonna
no.
pass that.
The idea
Yeah.
is that the corporate tax rate is inherently like inflationary or deflationary. That's not necessarily true. I think the corporate tax rate relates a lot more to CEO pay, to board pay, to stock buybacks, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, when we do cut the corporate tax, which we've been doing for decades, we would have seen wages go up. We would have seen it trickle down, but we know trickle down doesn't work because the
Mm,
wages have been stagnant.
no, that's not where I agree with you.
Okay.
I'm not saying that
Uh huh.
reducing the taxes is going to put more money into the pockets of the people. What
Uh
happens is
huh.
that if you increase the tax,
Yeah.
the cost of the good goes up to keep the income of the people who are, executive of a corporation,
Uh huh.
to keep that going. Does that
Is
make sense?
that?
It's like
I don't
if
think
you,
that's necessarily true because I think if you're a company and suddenly, let's just say you go from 21 to 35, you just restore the previous tax
yeah,
code, you might think, well, shit, maybe we can't buy this amount of stock buybacks. Maybe. Either way, I do think that we need to take money away from from the biggest companies in this country, in this world, and the richest people, because money is power, and the sort of concentration of wealth is extremely dangerous. It's
okay,
extremely
okay,
corrupt.
okay. Whoa. Couple of things there.
Uh huh.
So concentration of wealth is extremely dangerous. It's not
Yes.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. Hey, people have, like minds can align and they can create a dangerous world, especially when money equals power, right? The
Yeah.
problem that I have is what you just said is I want to take away the money
Yeah.
from the powerful.
I do
Well,
absolutely.
okay. How? How do you want to do that?
Tax the hell out of them.
Okay,
Restore the Kennedy tax code. Restore the Eisenhower tax code. Or the Roosevelt tax code. Get it to a
okay.
tax code when we saw the greatest expansion of the middle class we ever seen, where CEO pay went up, where corporate profits went up, and wages for workers went up with it, right? Let's get back to that.
It's not really apples to apples. I see your point. I hear you, but the labor force was cut in half.
Hmm.
90 the labor force was only men back in those times,
Hmm.
right? We had
Well, there is
a
more demand now as the population has grown, and the global economy is bigger. We export things around the world as well. So I don't think it's an issue about access to jobs. Though
I
I would
think
like
that
to
the
see, for
access to job
example,
plays a
I would like to see more manufacturing in America, 100%.
okay. So that's a logical representation of trying to decrease corporate tax,
What?
right? Well,
More
okay, you want to bring
manufacturing?
in yeah, you want to bring in more manufacturing. You want to
No,
increase. You want to stimulate growth.
I don't think historically there's any evidence that just lowering corporate tax will bring in more manufacturing, considering that we saw, for example, with Ronald Reagan, massive decreases in taxes, the introduction of trickle-down economics, neoliberal economics, and with it, the deindustrialization of the United States, massive outsourcing, wage stagnation, while productivity had stayed in the same trajectory and CEO pay shot up. Because again, even back then, when you cut these corporate tax rates and just the tax rate for the most richest people, it does not recirculate back into the economy. It goes into the stock market and it makes them more money. It blows up their net worth, which is good for them. But when regular people have money, me or you, we put it into our local community. We put it, even if it's just going into a store, at least we're buying something at the store. You know what I'm saying? These people hoard their wealth. They keep it to themselves. They want exponential growth. And that's the problem with an economy that's so focused on the financial industry.
Okay, so there's just a lot to uncover here, but let's go back to this. Okay, so you thinking that lowering the tax rate doesn't necessarily put money in the pockets of the consumers or the workers. It puts money into the pockets of the CEOs and to the people at the top,
Hmm.
right? That's the idea
Yeah.
behind it.
Hmm.
Okay,
You could
there's
say like
another.
maybe you do a tax plan specifically for the middle class and the poor, and yes, that'll put more money into the regular people, and that money will be spent to the local community just based on the spending habits of regular people over the top 1%. But again, the Trump tax cuts are not designed for regular people. The priority is the top 1%. That's why 83% of the benefits went to it.
The the tax cut on the top 1% under the Trump tax plan and the TCGA, it cut it by what was it, a 1.5%, 2.5%?
20% deduction for pass-through income, cutting individual tax rates at the top, weakening alternative minimum tax. The law cut individual tax rates at the top from 36 to 30 or 39.6 to 37%. Married couples with over $600,000 in taxable income. The law also dramatically weakened the AMT. But again, like
so
when you're extremely
reduction, right?
But when you're extremely wealthy, that's a good amount of money.
Okay, got it. Fair enough. Well, I mean, yeah, it is. But I mean, it's a progressive tax. Okay, so it's 2.6%, right? But for the average, for a good chunk of America, for the middle class, he cut it by 4%.
Even if that's the case,
it went from 28
to 24%.
It
really doesn't go far. If you're at the poorest and you got between $70 and like $390, that doesn't even pay rent.
No, like I'm not saying I don't disagree that it's not enough. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Let's cut taxes more. What I'm saying is
for poor
people
and the middle class, I think that we don't need to cut taxes for the top 1% and blow up the deficit.
Okay. The point I'm making is it's antithetical to your point that he's going to make everybody pay more overall.
Well, that's an analysis of his current tax plan, of the promises he made in the 2024 campaign trail, and what that saw. And they also
he made in the 2024 is to get rid of income tax altogether.
Well, again, he had a lot of mixed messages, including some messages that contrasted, right? So he said on Joe Rogan, maybe we'll get rid of income tax because we're going to get so much money from the tariffs. That's implying he puts tariffs on all goods. And if he did tariffs on every good, and for some magical reason, imports don't suddenly go down because of that, that still wouldn't be enough to fund our federal government. But again, this analysis by... This is the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy. This is just a group about economics, right? They looked at how the poorest, the second poorest, the middle class, the fourth, the next, like you can be making between $157,000 to $360,000. You're an extremely rich person, but you will still see a tax increase based on his plans. Now, again, he contradicts himself because I don't think he really makes the plan. So he's like, maybe we'll just get rid of income tax as a whole, which would be a massive redistribution of wealth from the bottom to the top, more so than we've seen for the last 40 years, which is,
So you're in support of that?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're not in support of abolishing the income tax?
No. That would make the richest 1% even more rich. Again, I said that would be the greatest redistribution of wealth from the bottom to the top, even more so than we've seen since the 1980s.
Getting rid of income tax.
Yes.
So let me hear it. I want to hear your because it's
not
whole
only
idea
not
that income
not
tax,
only
income tax
not
is a
only
novel concept.
It's really
not
not only would it be a redistribution of wealth from the bottom to the top, it would also not fund the government. Again, let's say he does tariffs on every single good coming into the United States. Now, tariffs are inherently supposed to make less goods flow into the country, but let's pretend that it just stays the same and we make $300 or $400 billion a year. That does not pay what we need.
You can tax property. Okay. That's how we did it historically. The Constitution prior to the income tax amendment. Mm-hmm. Equal tax regardless of income, status, or race. That's what it was done prior
and can you guarantee to me that it will meet the requirements necessary?
The requirements necessary is the point that's the most contentious, which is, are you saying, can I guarantee that it's going to meet $2.3 trillion
will grandma continue getting will grandma continue getting her Social Security check, her Medicare check? Will the poor continue getting Medicaid? Will public libraries and public schools continue to be funded? Will the military be able to function?
It would depend. Okay, the military would be able to function likely. You could tear up to the point where you could generate at least $800 to $850 billion.
You cannot do that. Well,
yeah,
unless you make even more insane. Wait, hold on. Unless you make even more insane rates than even Donald Trump is proposing, At some point in the campaign, he was proposing 20% tariffs on pretty much all goods coming into this country. That would produce about $300 billion, nowhere near $100 billion. And tariffs, again, are supposed to be, by design, disincentives for trade. So what you would most likely see is after, say, doing that on every good in this country, the amount of goods coming into this country would go down. So we would start at 300 billion and very quickly lose revenue and lower and lower and lower. And you're telling me that we're going to get 800 billion. That's a pretty wild thing to claim.
I'm saying you could, well, okay. I'm not saying that just through tariffs you could get $800 billion in revenue.
That is what you said, but okay.
Okay. You could get a portion of that through tariffs. You could get a portion of it through other means of taxation that's not income tax.
And then the tariff money would go down rapidly.
Okay, maybe. Tariffs are usually risen. Look, man, this whole concept that we have, the modern system, is like 100 years old. This income tax thing is a novel concept. Prior to that, prior to what, 1914, the Wilson era. Prior to that, it's implicit, it's historical that how governments raise money is through tariffs, through property tax.
Well, we're in a very different world, right?
I mean, it's been yes and no. You say we're in a very different world, but there are countries that don't have income tax. Dubai doesn't tax its citizens in income.
Dubai is a very different country than the United States. Dubai is very sparsely populated. Dubai is very small, and Dubai still has slaves, right? Dubai is not necessarily the model country that we need to look towards.
Okay, I'm not saying that it's a model country. What does Dubai having slaves have to do with the price of tea in China? The point I'm making is that a country can operate without an income tax.
Yeah, but we're a country of 300 million. Dubai is a completely different situation, where they are nearly completely funded by their oil industry.
Okay, we have the biggest oil reserves in the world.
I understand that, and we've been exporting, but we can continue exporting, and gas prices will keep going up based on the fact that our oil companies want to almost exclusively focus on exporting rather than the American market, but I wouldn't really prefer that. But yeah.
The point that I'm making and the point that we're talking about here is like at the crux of it is, hey, Trump is trying to, at the end of the day, he's going to make taxes. He's going to make what the average person pay. It's going to be worse. It's going to go up. It's going to have to pay more.
Based on analysis of his plan.
I'm like, hey, you got the TCGA, that lower tax. You're like, only by a little bit. It's an insignificant amount.
And it blew up the deficit, which also
what do you mean blew up? You said that 3 times. When you say blow up the deficit, how much money do you think we lost from the tax
Donald Trump
in the GDP?
Donald Trump increased the deficit. Well, deficit is related to debt. Deficit surplus relates to how much debt you're going to get. And one of the priorities that Republicans always say, one of the things Republicans always say is to cut the deficit. Donald Trump increased the deficit every single year of his presidency as a result of lowering revenues and increasing spending.
Okay, but what you're doing is it's a trick. You're saying that because he lowered income tax, because you're saying that it blew up the deficit. Again,
he didn't Trump just lower income tax. He lowered a variety of taxes, which did cut revenue. And yes, when you increase spending and cut revenue, it's basic math.
Trump blew up the deficit. I agree with you. He overspent, right? Okay, agree with you. Reducing the income tax could not have been the reason. Like, you're saying those two sentences together. The reason that the deficit was blown up now wasn't because he reduced income tax. Because you just said it was an insignificant amount.
No, I mean, for us.
You said it was $3,000 or $4,000 per person that they say. So how could it blow it up?
For us. But for the top 1% and the other rich folks, they got a lot more out of it.
Oh, okay,
and again, also when corporate tax rates go down and all that, when people are more exempt from the estate tax, the ultra rich are exempt. Brother, it's just not sustainable. We used to be a country a country where the middle class grew and regular people benefited from it. Hold on, I'm gonna put someone in the hold real quick. I'm gonna put you in the queue. Stay on the line, all right?
Yeah.
All right, like I was saying, we used to be a country where when the corporations did well and the CEO did well, the people did well. And that was a time where we had completely different tax rates, a lot more harsh tax rates on the rich. And it was a time that
I agree
worked.
with you to a certain degree. I really do.
Uh-huh.
I agree with you at one point that the the average, the middle class grew, and that's
Yes.
appreciated. But the thing is that I think you and I ultimately come from a different perspective of why it's not growing anymore.
Uh-huh.
I think it's not growing anymore is because you have rich people, frank,
Uh-huh.
being frank, Democrat, like they lobby in the Democrat Party, the Republican Party too, but they
Yes,
go
of
there,
course.
rich people who have vested interests, and they entangle themselves in government. So now you've got insurance companies, you've got medical companies, you've got doctors and lawyers who lobby on behalf of a cause and now make it a requirement via government mandate to have a certain thing.
Uh-huh.
It's like, yeah, the middle
I
class
don't think
grew,
that's
but they
really
also
reason.
weren't required to have. You don't think that's it? You don't think
Yeah.
that like the requirement to have health
I
insurance?
think
How about under the ACA, the
I think
expansion of Medicaid?
I think instead of having a instead of doing the ACA, we should just have universal healthcare. Ideally single payer, but I'd be perfectly fine with a multi-payer a system as a middle ground. In that case, you wouldn't be forcing people to go into private insurance. I disagree with the idea of the ACA pushing people to go into private insurance. I think that's a little silly, but it also has roots in the Heritage Foundation and so on and so forth.
It's also
We should just
unconstitutional.
what
It's
universal
also
healthcare.
unconstitutional. No, the two aspects of the ACA were entirely unconstitutional, which is
Well,
one
I
is
will.
with with a,
I think I'm sure there's been cases against the ACA in court. I don't think they found anything unconstitutional.
they in 2019 they
Which
did, but it already went to the Supreme Court. But the
yeah,
point, it already went to the Supreme Court.
with a conservative Supreme Court, it's a little bit biased, but either way,
You,
I do think that
wait.
I do think that the
I have
practical
to say this. I have
effects.
to say this because it's
Uh
apparent you
huh.
didn't. It was a conservative Supreme Court, and they ruled in favor
Uh
of the
huh.
ACA.
Okay, good.
So
Good.
yeah,
I mean,
it's okay. It's just
the
to point out
ACA
how
is
biased.
the ACA is not my ideal system. I think it's too weak. I think again we need to go to single payer because fuck these insurance companies. But I'd be perfectly fine with a multi-payer system. Overall, though, I
Okay,
will say with the ACA there has been some practical good. We have seen an increase of people with insurance, so that's a good thing. But it needs to go a
dude.
lot further.
The increase of people with insurance comes with a caveat, though, doesn't it? Which was that the cost of doing medicine in the country has increased corollary to it.
Well,
And the reason
it's
is
been
that
increasing.
it's the reason is because when you take something out of the free market, yes, you can have it so that more people are covered under health insurance. But a
Uh huh.
caveat with that is that a company like a medical company can now charge
Uh huh.
things because they know that there's no competition because it's a requirement for people to have insurance.
So is your idea that if we just put more free market into the health insurance industry, that it would just make things cheaper?
Yes, yes, I agree. I think that's very much true, and I think you can see that
Yeah, I completely
reflected
doubt
in other
that
countries
because
as well.
I completely doubt that because I don't think there's any financial interest in the insurance company industry to make things more affordable and cheaper for regular people or to provide a good service. I think it's literally in their financial interest to provide a bad service. Now, again, there are issues I have with Obamacare, uh, particularly its dependence and ties to private health insurance, but nonetheless, there was expanded Medicaid, which is good. There was coverage for or protection for pre-existing conditions, which people tend to like. You know, there are some things that are good. There are some things I'm critical of, but nonetheless, I think it's better than just removing it and making, I don't know, people in their 20s lose their family health insurance plan because suddenly these insurance companies have no interest and they'll just cover people under
Let me
18.
ask you something.
So, yeah.
You seem still somewhat well read. Let me ask you this then, and I'm being sincere. Why do you think Trump won?
I think there's economic turmoil across the world. I think he won by 49% and Kamala got 48%. It wasn't like a
Okay.
massive sort of like, oh, everybody suddenly loves Trump now. I think there was just genuine economic frustration across the entire world, which is why most incumbent
Well,
parties lost.
but there was
With the one
economic
exception,
frustration
though,
in 2019.
with exceptions, though, the particular exemption is Mexico, where they actually have a left wing and progressive president in AMLO, and after his term ended and there was an election, Claudia Sheinbaum, his successor, won massively. So she was one of the only examples in the entire Western world of somebody dealing with, for example, the inflation and the economic struggles that all these countries are dealing with, but the incumbent party maintaining control and not
Okay,
actually
but
making any losses.
so the crux of it is, say there's an economic turmoil in America, and that's
Yeah,
why people ultimately voted for Trump. There was
yeah,
economic turmoil in America under 2020, though. Like, so what?
yeah.
That doesn't seem to be the entire
Yeah,
situation.
yeah. So, and
Like,
again, like
what do you?
the incumbent lost in 2020. The incumbent just happened to be Donald Trump. It's not
Okay,
necessarily about personalities. It's not about the great amazing personality of Joe Biden or the great amazing personality of Donald Trump. It's just when there is economic turmoil, no matter the party, no matter the president, the people tend to vote in a way that will punish the incumbent. So there was economic turmoil in 2020 and they voted against the incumbent. There was economic turmoil in 2024 and they voted against the incumbent. It's
so you
it's
think
still
that it's
literally
just pure economics?
that's literally politics in every single country in the world. That's why we saw incumbent parties, whether we're talking about marginally left wing parties or marginally right wing parties, like Modi's party in India, or whatever left wing, or the liberals in Canada, all saw like losses.
You don't think
Because
that do you think it could be something along the
Mhm.
lines of that the media was just absolutely feeding the American people bull?
Well, I don't particularly like the people in the media.
I'm just
But
saying, you're saying it's
again,
because of pure economics, and I'm saying I think it's because
I
the
do look
media
at
had a huge
the
part of
I
it.
do look at the macro picture and see all other countries in the Western world following this trend, except for Mexico, because they've seen real material conditions improve, real economic improvement, real impact on social life,
So what do we do
and they
about
were
what
rewarded. The incumbents were
what do
rewarded. Everywhere else, the incumbents were not rewarded, were punished, whether they're conservative parties or liberal parties.
what do we do about this deficit? Because you're like, hey, conservatives are always honking the horn on the deficit, yet they always seem to increase the deficit,
Uh
but
huh.
the liberals don't even seem to fucking care. What are we going to do about this
Well,
deficit, though?
Obama oversaw 6 out of 8 years of his presidency with the deficit going down. Uh, Biden Biden's deficit is lower than Trump's deficit.
Hold on,
Bill Clinton, Bill
wait.
Clinton.
That's a misnomer, though.
You're gonna say because of COVID, but presidents don't get an excuse
No,
because of
I'm not
economic
going to say because of
situations.
COVID. I'm going to
But
talk
again,
that
hold on,
Obama point you
I
made.
didn't
The
finish.
deficit
Yeah.
didn't go down under Obama. The rate
Uh
at which
huh.
the deficit was increasing decreased, but it was still
Uh
a
huh.
deficit that was going up.
Yeah, it was slightly higher than the Bush years. I agree. But again, Obama came in during the recession and he handled the recovery. He did the recovery. And nearly every single year after his first year, the deficit went down. Democrats, honestly, and the deficit shit is not my priority. I mainly bring it up because supposedly fiscal conservatives care about the deficit, unless it's Donald Trump doing it or Bush doing it. But Democrats, the more establishment Democrats, seem to actually care about the deficit. And they get like these big economic experts doing all these little efforts here, there, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, making sure that they can actually lower the deficit. And to be fair, the last time there was a surplus, not a deficit in this country, it was under a Democratic administration, Bill Clinton. Again, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden are not particularly people I'm like massive fans of in the same way Donald Trump supporters seem to love their guy, right? But I can recognize that, yes, when it comes to the issue of debt and deficit, Democrats seem to have a more stable grasp than Republicans, who will just do a massive tax cut, send us into war in two different countries, two different fronts, do a massive tax cut, and just increase spending just because, you know?
Okay, I
Yeah.
need to, but
So from the
I have,
Republican perspective, yes, Democrats seem to have a better grasp at the deficit and debt.
dude. When you say the deficit, though, like when the I don't know what your listeners, if Obama had a deficit that got low, right? It got like 400 billion or something around that area. I'm sure maybe you got the numbers right
I'll pull it
somewhere.
up if you want. Yeah,
Okay,
deficit
Obama.
over the
I
years.
don't even. It's not necessary. The point I'm making is that
Uh
when
huh.
people hear that Obama decreased the deficit,
Yeah.
the deficit was the negative. It's like Obama was still $500 billion in the red.
Yeah.
It's not like Obama was doing a
Again,
fucking
I
great
mean,
job.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not like
Okay,
jerking off Obama, but I'm just saying it is a literal fact that 6 out of the
you're
8 years
like
of his
you're like
presidency, he pretty much, yeah, by 2016, he pretty much brought the deficit, or 2015 rather, he pretty much brought the deficit to the level that he came in with. Actually, actually a little bit
that's
lower,
not
slightly lower.
that's
So
that's not
so
a
again,
good thing.
I mean, you
That's
compare it to
not a,
Donald Trump. You compare it to Donald
I'm
Trump, who
not
took that
I'm
situation, who is
not
the person you support, who took each year of his presidency and increased the deficit. So I don't know what to tell you. All I'm just saying is the
I'm not
fact that
I'm
Democrats
not
seem to take the issue more seriously when it's your guys' issue that you guys claim to care about.
I'm not supporting Donald Trump in the deficit. The
Okay.
point that I'm making, right,
But
is
what
that
you are
the
saying
right
would you supported getting rid
you're
of income tax, which would increase the deficit,
I do support getting rid of income tax,
and
and
that
I
would blow
don't
up the
think it
deficit.
necessarily has to increase it. No, no, it doesn't, and this is why. This is why
Okay.
it wouldn't necessarily increase deficit, because the deficit is caused by overspending. All right, the reason that we're
And Donald
overspending is
Trump will
because we have
increase
such a
spending,
because we have such a bloated federal government. All right,
and Donald Trump
and the reason that
made
we
it bigger.
okay, Donald Do, Donald Trump did make it bigger.
Yes. Okay.
I don't. I think that there's a misunderstanding between you and me that I'm not a Donald Trump ardent necessarily a Donald Trump supporter. The point that I'm making is that this is the ultimate point that I'm trying to get to. Everything is submissive to the deficit. We talk about fucking income tax and policy and what we're going to do with our military and all this stuff. We have two problems. We have the deficit and we have negative population growth. All right. Now the deficit. I don't. What is it? How much of it?
We don't have.
Towards,
Well, to be fair, we don't have negative
debt?
population growth. One of the
Yeah, we do.
one of the things about America that's going to keep us likely the superpower if we get our shit together, even China won't be able to really compete with us, is the fact that we have continued population growth.
We have 1.9 for every woman, and it's decreasing.
So you're
1.9.
talking about birth rates. Immigration also plays a factor into this.
Yeah. See, that's a common one, isn't it? It's that we can supplement the population through immigration, and it's
You
like
just literally need to in every single country in the world. You need migration.
We used to not. That's the point I'm making, is that there's a negative
did.
population growth in modernized countries.
America, one of the big reasons America grew is because we had massive immigration, particularly from Europe and Asia, like China, Europe and China mainly. And
I don't disagree with you. What does it have to do with my point?
those people would eventually have like a ton of babies in like the baby boom. But yes, in the developed world, the birth rate does tend to lower in like every single country. I don't quite know the entire sociological reasons for that. It's just literally a trend you see in every single country that develops. So at that point, yes, you do need continued immigration to continue to have birth rates.
It's a very simple answer. It's because of wealth and birth control. It's a very, very simple objective answer. Where you see birth control and you see wealth, you see negative population growth. And America is experiencing a negative population growth. The population.
Well, again, you're talking about birth rates, not population growth.
Okay.
It's
yes,
a pretty
I am
different
talking
thing.
about the birth rate. They're
Yes.
different in one aspect and not in the other, which is their corollary. You're talking about if you want to go and look at legal immigration, the country is still in a negative population growth stance.
So
Now,
that's
if you
why
wanna
we
talk
need
about
to. That's why we
illegal
need to.
immigration,
That's
then
why we
it
need to.
increases.
That's why we need to reform our immigration system to make it easier for people that have clean records and are here to work to immigrate to this country. Like the 80% of undocumented people that have been here for over 10 years, what have they been doing? They haven't been just sitting around. They have been the people toiling in the fields. They have been the people building people's homes, and they should have an opportunity to become an American citizen. Ultimately, we have a very slow and bad immigration process that makes it incentivized to do things the illegal way.
Why?
But,
When you talk about
we should
incentivization,
fix-
why
yeah.
would you? Why should we reward anyone for staying in the country illegally?
Yeah, it's not about rewards. It's not about a good boy, bad boy shit. It's about practical economics.
Giving them an opportunity. It's about giving them an opportunity to stay in the country and having this American citizenship. If they've overstayed their visas but haven't committed a felony.
So that our country continues to grow and that we continue to have a stable economy. Ultimately,
Well, we have to think
why
of an
I say
alternative solution
why I
because that's a
say no,
terrible
we don't
incentive.
really need to. You incentivize illegal activity. You incentivize illegal immigration by making a slow and ridiculous process like we have today. If we actually want to deal with illegal immigration, we have to have a system which will which essentially is a more improved version of what we had back in the day with Ellis Island. Now, back in the day with Ellis Island, when people would come to the United States, the only thing that would really get them turned away is if they were like fucking sick with something. Now, I'm not saying we have a system that loose, but that system was part of the reasons we grew into a superpower. So what we need is a system that is able to do background checks fast, which with the surveillance state that not only America has, but practically every country around the globe has, we can do that. And we should be letting people with clean records that are here to work come because there is a demand for labor. Even if you try to do mass deportations, even if you try to do mass deportations, that does not get rid of the demand for labor. Maybe it makes a labor shortage, and there will continue to be that demand. And unfortunately, many Americans are not going to fill those positions.
I just listen, man. There is so much that you and I agree on with substantive stuff, like with economic policy, and it's a position that I can respect from you. That you're like, hey, the wealthy, they have too much money, and we should tax them, and we should try and bring some money back to the middle class, and there's crony capitalism. I agree with so much of it, but the thing that lost so many people was this. One of this very substantive topics that the left just cannot wrap its head around. Under Obama, he said, if you are in this country illegally, you will be deported. It's been the law, and Obama said it so plain as day.
Obama was the deporter in chief. He did deport a lot of people.
Hold on, no, but please. Obama's point that he made was that every commander in chief, left and right, these are words from his mouth, respects this law, which is you deport someone that's here illegally. And then Trump came in, and for 4 years, there was a little bit of there for whatever reason the left just absolutely lost their mind on this, and they're like, oh well, we have so many people that are working.
I think it's more growing a backbone. Yeah, I think it's more growing a spine. You know,
it's growing. It's been a problem for 100 years. It's been a problem.
Again, we used to. If you want to go back, and this is where I disagree with Obama here. I'm able to criticize my own party. Again, if we go back to history, we literally had a system where you just come here through Ellis Island and boom, you're an American, unless you have a fever, right? I'm not saying we adopt a system that loose. I'm saying that we can do background checks in a day or two, and then yes, let a motherfucker become an American. Simple as that.
In one aspect, you grow a spine, right? In the other, it's completely spineless. And this is what I mean. I agree with you. You could probably create a system that's comparable to what we had in Ellis Island. You can get immigrants in here to revitalize the economy of the country in a better way. Okay.
And there's a lot of places in America that are dying that need them. You know.
Okay, I completely agree. The solution cannot be, well, just let the illegal immigrants become legal. You lose.
Well, the illegal immigrants are not enemies. The 80% of undocumented people that have been here for 10 years have been working, have been providing, have been putting food on your table, and those people should definitely have an opportunity to become Americans. And on a practical level, they are literally just here. If you say adopt my system, where we have like a super efficient immigration system, where you can essentially, my ideal system, day one, you come here, clean record, boom, you're a motherfucking American. Okay, well, instead of taking these people that are living in America right now, that are doing jobs right now, and like saying, okay, we're gonna put you on the other side of the Mexican border, and we're just gonna make you go through the super fast and efficient process, just so you can go back to whatever state you are in the country and get back to what you're up to. No, we can just go through the process while they're here, give them a pathway to citizenship, and because they are literally here right now doing the work.
And that's it. There's just a fundamental philosophical difference that for the entire stable presidency of our country, we've had a concept which is that you have to enter through the legal port of entry, and that was Ellis Island at one point. And it's like that's completely agreeable. And then it's like, well, no, you have people overstaying their visas, and it's like you've just lost it, man. You've lost the people when you say, they're not illegal, they're undocumented immigrants. It's like they are breaking
you can call them.
They're facing a U.S. code.
Well, again, it's like oh my gosh, someone jaywalked. Yeah, they're violating something. It's a misdemeanor to cross a border. It's like getting a speeding ticket or whatever. At the end of the day, what I'm talking about is that they are literally here. So if they're working right now and
That's
they've been
not
here for
it.
10 years, it's a little silly to just be like, okay, we're going to make this super fast process. We're going to just, for this moment, uproot your lives, move your entire family, just put you over to this side, make you go through that process. And then you could guys have to pay for the travel to get back to where you are. Or maybe we're going to fucking pay for the travel to get them back to where they are. Why not just, okay, you're already here. Let's go through the process. Let's naturalize you. Boom, you're an American. You got a clean record. Good on you. Welcome.
Because I can tell you why.
Okay.
Because then you're going to see a complete. You're going to start to see the fray of law break down. It's like,
No.
well, that federal code doesn't matter. Well, why does any federal
No.
code matter then? It's like,
I mean,
well,
if you're worried about like
to compare
if you're
entering my country illegally with jaywalking.
yeah, no,
It's so
I think it literally is the same level of jaywalking. But if you are concerned about like constitutionality and like the rule of law, then there are many issues in this country that you should be super concerned about, like the president unilaterally saying that we're gonna halt all federal funds from flowing into the economy until I don't know they deal with DEI, whatever the hell, wokeness or whatever.
Oh my
the hell,
God! I will take you to school on this. The executive has the power via the Constitution to halt any federal funding that comes into the executive. So if any of those federal fundings are flowing from the executive, that's his authority to do it. Now, if there's anything that has that Congress has
well,
to
I mean,
touch,
there was a judge that
funding,
paused it. You know what I mean?
so.
So we'll see what happens.
That was a district judge.
There was a judge that paused it, and the Trump administration rescinded it. So we'll see.
The Trump administration rescinded that because it was confusing as to what the type of funding they were rescinding was. Was it for individuals or was it for programs? You're conflating.
Either way, it would be. Either way, it's never been done before, and I do believe that there are constitutional questions as it relates to it.
What's never been done before? Are you saying the executive's never halted federal funding?
The idea of just halting literally all federal funds to all different branches of the government, particularly like trillions of dollars. I don't know, not 6 trillion, but trillions of dollars. Overall, is just wild policy thing to do. In the suing block measure, 23 attorneys, 23 attorney generals argued that the policy was unconstitutional because Congress had already determined how these funds would be spent. And they also said this would jeopardize disaster relief efforts to help Southern California rebuild from wildfires, among other places where disaster might strike. So
that's 23
again,
attorneys whose opinion
if there are potential,
they could take their opinion and they could go to the Supreme Court and they will
they could take it to court. That's what I'm saying. They could take it to court, but the attorneys blocking the move. And the judge.
The attorneys didn't block the move.
The judge blocked it. The judge blocked it, and attorneys backing the judge and the Trump campaign did rescind it. We'll see what happens. They can take it to court, and we'll see. I just do think it's wild for a president to sort of unilaterally say, okay, this money that was already placed to go to these certain areas by the Congress, I'm just gonna say it's frozen, just because wokeness or something. What would like ending wokeness mean or whatever?
Oh my God, dude! Okay, really quick, because we still have yet to get to the bottom of this immigration thing. I want to ask this. You're phrasing this aspect of Trump wants to deport millions of illegals who are simply working the fields to put food on the table.
80% of undocumented people have been here for 80 years. 10 years. So yes, they've been here.
First and foremost, that's
working.
I don't know where you got that statistic, but it's absolute bullshit because we only have an estimate on how many people are undocumented in this country. If we had an actual estimate, then we would know.
We have an estimate.
If we had an actual number, we would know.
It ranges from 11 to 14 million.
Okay, that is so huge. That's a crazy. Okay, here's my thing. What the thing that people see, but that the left failed to understand, right? Is why is it that ICE didn't arrest all of these illegal immigrants who had committed serious felonies when Biden was in office a week ago?
Well, Biden did do more deportations than Donald Trump.
Okay, that doesn't answer my question.
Yeah, I mean, they arrested people, they caught people at the border. 98% or so of border interactions went down in 2024. And yeah, Biden didn't necessarily do mass deportation raids like Donald Trump wants to do, because I don't know what exactly his reasoning, but if I were to give a reasoning why to not do it, is because it's economic suicide to deport 40% of agriculture workers, among other
That
industries as
doesn't
well.
make. That's not work. I'm not talking about those agriculture workers.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking about
Yes,
the
you are,
guy
because they're
from Haiti.
undocumented.
No, I'm talking about the people this week. The 1,200 or 1,500 some people that ICE knew had committed a crime, and they could not execute.
Well,
because
I
ICE
don't
is
know
a
if
part
they
of the
committed.
executive, and the
I don't
executive
know
said,
if they
"Don't
committed a
execute."
crime, and ultimately, with the ICE raids, I don't even know if these people are committing. Now you're gonna say, like, being here they committed a crime, but I would personally
This
like to
is
see a
true.
bit of a higher bar. And again, I don't think that the Trump people intend to just go after like hardened criminals or something like that. That's why they opened up the ICE raids to schools and to churches. Do you think
That's a
like there are?
lie.
Do you think there are
That's a
hard?
lie
That's
from
a
the
lie.
media.
That's a
Tom
lie.
Hoppen never went to a school and raided a school.
No, but they opened it up to schools. Yes,
It's
they are
not.
allowed to raid schools.
They are allowed to raid anywhere in the country.
ICE
What
raids
do you
at
mean
middle
that's
elementary
they're
schools
allowed?
possible. Maryland, Virginia leaders respond. Public
They
schools,
didn't go
yeah,
into a school. They never
yeah.
went into a school.
Northwest Florida schools brace for
That's
possible
a
ICE
lie from the
raids.
media. That's
Again,
possible. That's meritable. That's yellow.
yeah.
That's
So you
muckraking
don't. So
journalism. Like they're trying to feed to scare people.
are you gonna say that they will never do a raid in a school?
No, I'm not saying that. No,
Okay.
they could very well raid a school. What I'm saying is that the media
Okay, so
said
you're
that they
for
raided the
for
school
raiding
and
the
they didn't.
schools. You're saying that they will never raid a school, but you're for raiding the schools.
No,
Okay.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying they're for raiding
Okay.
schools. You're putting words in my mouth. What you asked was,
Well,
are
you
saying
said they
that they'll
could do
never
it. They
raid a
should.
school?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm saying, well, they never raid a school. I said, no, they might raid a school. You're like, oh, so you're for raiding schools. I'm like, no. I'm saying
Okay,
that
wait.
within the
Let's
realm,
repeat the
they can
position.
raid
Let's repeat the
anywhere in the
position.
country.
So should they raid anywhere in the country, in your view?
It's not should they raid anywhere in the country.
That's a pretty direct
It's
question.
who should they raid in the country is the question. And I think that there's a hierarchy. Do you have a teacher who's an illegal immigrant who, I don't know, murdered someone in their home country and fled here? Yeah, then maybe you should be able to raid a school and take
Yeah, I'm
that
fine with
teacher
raiding
who
criminals.
killed someone.
Or excuse me, I'm fine with deporting criminals. But again,
So
our
that's the thing,
definition
right?
our definition of criminal is very different.
But you
Yes,
wouldn't care if that criminal was in a school, would
a
you?
person around a person
You
around
wouldn't
children
care if
that committed
that
murder
criminal
should be
was in a
removed.
school.
Yeah,
Right.
people
But
have been
would you-
arrested
but then
in schools.
would you be going?
But when you're talking
but
about
would you
ICE
then
raids
be
in
saying,
schools,
I
you're
can't
also
raid a
potentially
school?
talking. Yeah, I think they shouldn't be able to raid like classrooms for students. That's concerning to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there's a student here, that's an argument. If we're talking about K through 12 aspect, it's an argument that student's under 18, right?
Oh, here you go. Wait, this is what I was referring to. Donald Trump issued an executive order permitting U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement to conduct immigration enforcement operations within schools, churches, and courthouses. This is specifically what people were complaining about, that Trump signed an executive order. You're saying that it never happened? Well, we'll see when it happens, but Trump has signed off on it. That's people's concern.
That shouldn't concern anybody.
Okay. I mean, that's your
federal
viewpoint.
law.
Sure. That's your viewpoint, that it shouldn't concern everybody, but that's what people were concerned about. You were saying that there was you were saying that was a lie, that I don't know, that these raids would never happen, when Donald Trump specifically signed
I didn't say that these raids would never happen.
Permitting it.
I'm saying they haven't happened. Listen.
Okay, yeah, he just got in the White House, He just got in the White House.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of refreshing to see someone promise something and it actually get done within the first week. Not going to lie. I think that's how the majority of Americans feel too. They're like, "Oh, we hear all these empty promises, regardless of left or right." Obama said that.
Yeah. I'm curious though. Yeah, Obama did deport a lot of people. Biden deported more than Trump in the first term.
That's not what I was going to say.
So I'm curious though, because you're against the immigrants, and you want to do the mass deportations. You want to do these raids.
I'm not against immigrants. I'm against illegal immigrants.
Yeah, sure.
These
undocumented immigrants. So I'm asking you, what is your solution when you deport them?
They're illegal.
When you deport them,
please,
what do you do?
What's the solution?
Yeah, when you have massive labor shortages, as warned by right-wing publication, Reason Magazine. This is a
So
libertarian
you have
institute. This
you
is
have an economic
exactly.
shortage, right? You have an
Uh-huh.
economic shortage. What you
Uh-huh.
do is you create a program. You can be
Mm-hmm.
comparable to Ellis Island, and you allow
Mm-hmm.
people through the port of entry, and you make a system in which people oblige and legally follow. And
Okay,
then
so
the
you're
law is
so you're
restored.
okay. Wait. That's a great point. So you're saying what I'm saying. Make a fast and efficient immigration process.
I completely
So
agree with that.
so okay. So this is the difference though.
Yeah.
This is the difference though. What you're saying is deport literally all the undocumented people here, even the people that have been here for 10 years. And with all the chaos, with all the costs going up and all that stuff, we're still just gonna let immigrants come in and do the job that these people are doing. It's a fair point to
Okay.
say that people should go through the legal process, but my position is that the people that are currently here should be should be able to go through that process while living in America, because they are physically already here. I don't think it
You
makes
don't
sense
under.
to just. I don't think it might make sense to take the people that are physically already here, send them somewhere else, and then get another group of people to either replace these people or get the same people to just go through the process, but after they were
Mhm.
physically moved. It's just bizarre. Just naturalize them. Just go through that
I have
process
I
in their homes, which they've been in for like 10 years.
I have 2 points.
80% have been over here for over a decade. Why would you remove those
I have
people?
I I have 2 points to this.
Uh
The
huh.
first one is when you
Uh
say
huh.
that I am in support of this position, right? As if
Yeah.
it's my personal position. I'm
Mm-hmm.
separated from that. What I'm
Okay.
saying is I am in support of Congress.
Okay.
Congress passed those laws. It's a
Okay.
USC statute. The
Mm-hmm.
executive in the Constitution has the obligation to enforce the
Okay.
law.
I think you're kind of like doing a little bit of like a little like squirmy move here where you're like trying to just be like, I just
No,
support the law. I want to hear your position. Your position
it's
is
not a squirming
deport.
move.
Your position
It's
is
not.
deport all the people here that are here undocumented.
But no, but I think you think I'm squirming, and I'm not squirming. What I'm trying to say is I want to restore the system. You see,
Uh
the
huh.
system is broken. The entire
Very
concept is
broken.
broken, which is
Yeah.
go through the
So
legal
just
port of
so
entry if you want to do something, right?
exclusively saying like I just want to support what's being done in Congress or whatever or what currently exists in Congress is supporting the
Yes.
system that you're describing is broken.
But no, but hear me out. Please hear me out. Okay,
Uh
if the
huh.
Democrats in Congress want to keep the illegal immigrants here,
Uh huh.
the ones that don't have nonviolent records and just overstay their visas and
Yeah.
have been here for a decade, right? If
Mhm.
they really want that, the answer is not to simply ignore the law. It's to
Mhm.
repeal the law and push it through Congress. And
Yeah.
that's the
Sure.
will of the people through
Sure.
Congress. But they're
Sure.
not going to do that because they're
Yeah.
fucking lazy. The Democrats are
Because a lot
so
of
lazy on this
because
issue.
a lot of Democrats are conservative like yourself and ultimately are not quite sympathetic to immigrants, whether they're legal or illegal or
No,
whatever it is.
that's that's not why. It's
And
because
then
in
you
order to
have
repeal a law,
and
you
then
need
you
two-thirds
have
of a vote, and they
and
can't
then
get
you
the vote. So they try
and
to
then
push
you
through the
have the
Supreme Court, which is
Republicans
fucked.
and then you have the Republicans that are simply just anti-immigration. So you have an entire anti-immigration party and you have a Democratic Party which does have pro-immigration people because that's the position that makes sense. And you have a lot of establishment Democrats that, like you said, are lazy and they don't really want to change the status quo. They just want to enforce the status quo. And I very much disagree with those people. Just like I
I
disagree
know,
with
but
Obama, that didn't do any
but
proper, immigration reform in that
right,
regard.
but the point, but to my point, right? When you say a
Mhm.
word, when the left garnishes this
Mhm.
concept of undocumented immigrants, what they're
Yeah.
really trying to say is they're not illegal because illegal would be
You
indicative
you
of
can
breaking the law.
you can call them illegal. You can call them undocumented. I don't particularly care. They should be here
No,
if
you can call
they
them
have a.
undocumented, but what you
Yeah,
can't do is ignore the
they
fact that they're
should be able
breaking
to
the
be
law.
they should be able to be here if they have not committed a proper crime in my view and that they have been productive to this economy. If they have a
What
clean
I'm trying
record,
to say is that
much
your
like those
view of what
people
a
that have
proper
been
crime
here
is
for a
not the same
decade.
as what a court's view of a
Yeah,
proper
well,
crime is.
we're debating my position and your position, right? I think if you like you're saying, I think that the Democrats, unfortunately, they would need a massive majority for this, and they would need a shift in the party for this. The Democrats should absolutely go to Congress and the presidency and completely reform our immigration system, but they would have to beat out practically all the Republicans because we know the Republicans aren't going to sign in on this. But yeah, sure. Do my position is of course do every single thing I believe through Congress and the presidency. Yeah.
But okay. is your position the federal statutes?
Mm-hmm.
Do they? If we stop having weight in them, then what's the point
Uh-huh.
of making them? You see my point? You see where I'm going with this?
Mm-hmm.
How do
Well,
you
again,
wrestle
this
with
is
that?
a stream about my position and your position, right? You want to go into
I
the
mean,
system of
yes,
government.
I'm talking about your
I
position.
ultimately do view that the Democratic Party is a very slow and sometimes inefficient party. But in order to get what I would really want done, you would need a solid majority of Democrats. So hopefully we see that one day. I mean, it's happened in American history where Democrats have gotten a big majority, Republicans have gotten a big majority, whenever. And when that comes, hopefully we can see some proper immigration reform because we're definitely not going to see that with the Republican Party.
But dude, okay, your position, right? We're talking about your position, my position. Your
Yeah.
position is if these persons haven't committed a felony,
Yeah.
right, or a serious crime, as you call it, I don't know, however you want to qualify it, because it's your
Yeah.
position, then we shouldn't deport them. We should try and find a way to have them be
Yeah.
put through
Naturalize them.
the legal system, naturalized citizens. This is what I'm trying. This is what I'm confused
Mm-hmm.
on. To
Mm-hmm.
to overstay your visa is a felony. So my
Yeah,
point
but
is,
I don't
how do you
particularly care though.
differentiate this? But how do you differentiate one felony from another? You're saying that, well, this
Yeah,
felony doesn't mean anything
I
because at
think
the
it's
time
basic morals. Like jaywalking is considered some a legal
it's not a
offense, a
felony.
crime.
It's not a felony
Sure,
though. It's not a
but
felony.
let's say somebody what is a low bar felony in your view? What is a
Technically,
felony?
under the federal code, marijuana is a felony. Technically, under the federal code.
Precisely. There you go. If someone's smoking marijuana and they get caught, or selling marijuana and they get caught and they get in trouble for it, I don't think that that person, even though they committed a felony, should be treated like other felons. That, for example, might do like a rug pull where they scam their investors or scam their audience. I feel like that should be a felony and treated very seriously. Unfortunately, it's not, but I think it's much more morally bankrupt
Treated
than
pretty
smoking
seriously. But
marijuana.
anyways, treated
No,
very
no, it's
seriously.
not. It's not. I mean, Hawk to a Girl is fine. There was a Hawk to a Girl supporter in the chat. I mean, Vivek Ramaswamy essentially did a rug pull. Donald Trump just got enriched by his meme coin, where 80% of the wallet is owned by insiders by the time it was made.
Can
So again, we don't take
can I
financial
confide
crimes,
something? I need
but
to
we
tell you
don't take
something.
real quick. We don't take financial crimes very seriously. But I think there are things that are more morally objectionable in society that aren't considered felonies or wrong or whatever by the legal system that are much worse than smoking marijuana or crossing the border. And yes, when it comes to this, things that are definitely felonies, murder is a lot worse than smoking marijuana.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah,
there are classes of felonies. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Your position is that the felony class of being an illegal immigrant that Congress set so long ago is inappropriately established.
yeah,
Right.
sure. I think it's part of our broken immigration system. And I completely disagree with the immigration system as it is.
Okay. Okay. Do you think that there's anything that Donald Trump has done that you would be like, this is a good thing in the past
Operation Warp Speed.
4 years?
I was down with Operation Warp Speed. Was down for that.
Okay, are you the Space Force? You established the Space Force?
I don't particularly care about the Space Force.
Okay. Tell me about Operation Warp Speed. What did you like about this?
Yeah, I mean, in a time where we had this pandemic, COVID, we need to get that vaccine out there fast, and governments across the world were investing heavily to create it. Of course, the United States was going to play its role. I do feel that ultimately, no matter the president, they would have probably had one variation or another of Operation Warp Speed, considering that pretty much every other major country did as well. So, yeah, I mean, good on Trump for doing that. I'll give him credit there. But other than that, I mean, he made decent promises when he ran in 2016, and he failed on pretty much every decent promise. He promised to bring the jobs back. He didn't. He promised to end the bad trade deals. He didn't. He said the NAFTA and the TPP were horrible, but then ultimately signed the USMCA, which was pretty much just NAFTA with provisions from the TPP. I don't know if you dislike the TPP, why you would add provisions from it, but he did. And he didn't do an infrastructure plan. He did a symbolic infrastructure week, but he had no investments into infrastructure, like a proper spending plan, like Dwight D. Eisenhower did, or Franklin Roosevelt did, or even Joe Biden did. So the things that I would like to give Trump credit for, the promises, he ultimately didn't keep. But I can give him credit for Operation Warp Speed.
Okay. This is what I'm failing to understand from the aspect of the left and the right, right?
Mm-hmm.
The left used to be something so relatable to the common man in this facet. They didn't like big pharma. They hated
Well,
big
I don't like big pharma.
What about COVID? What about Pfizer? Huh?
I think
You
we need.
supported that?
I'm perfectly fine with vaccines. Vaccines historically have worked. I mean, what happened to
That's what
polio
big
after polio
pharma
vaccine
is.
was made? I mean, when for example, you have Joe Rogan pushing like certain antibodies or whatever. Who's the ones producing those
Are you talking about
antibodies that he's
ivermectin?
pushing? Yeah, oh no,
Are
not
you talking
just
about
ivermectin.
ivermectin?
Not just ivermectin. There was a specific thing that he was pushing. I think it was some sort of antibody or some sort of medication. I'm forgetting the name of it, but he was pushing it, and he was saying that oh, it's good, it's good, it's good. But again, it's the
Dude,
same big pharma companies that make it. Republicans don't actually have policies that take power away from big pharma. Establishment Democrats tend to not, but progressives actually do. I say
no,
that
dude, that's just it.
big pharma should not be able to take publicly funded research for medication, buy that research, and sell it at ridiculous prices. We should have
You know,
universal health care, and we should have laws and restrictions that make drug costs similar levels to other countries instead of insanely high like we have in the United States. So yeah, I think that most big pharma regulations and attacks on big pharma are from the left, definitely not from the right. The right will do like performance, like, oh my gosh, COVID this, COVID that. I believe in every conspiracy I see in the book. Vaccines are bad. But then they refuse to actually do reforms on big pharma.
you see, there's a trend with the left that is lost on the left. This is the trend, right?
Uh-huh.
You have a bunch of former Democrats who are prominent Democrats that were celebrated and reviled by the left, and they're
Who?
all Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Bill Maher.
Oh my God. So Donald Trump, let's start with all those three people.
Tulsi Gabbard.
Donald Trump, the billionaire developer that was given a golden spoon from the moment that he was born, is not exactly the model pro working class Democrat. Yeah, he had Democratic friends because he was a Hollywood guy and he's from New York, so socially he doesn't actually give a fuck about abortion or gay people or trans people, but in his political career he's willing to throw all that shit under the bus because it's good for politics. Bill Maher's a contrarian, and Bill Maher is a dipshit. Bill Maher is mad at the left because the left doesn't like, I don't know, Israel bombing kids. Elon Musk.
He was their idol, dude.
Yeah, I don't care. I never liked Bill Maher, to be honest with you. All right,
Donald Trump gave money to Kamala Harris as a California AG.
Good for Donald Trump. Good for Donald Trump. I was never a fan of Donald Trump.
You're missing my point.
I'm not a. I think that I would have loved for Donald Trump to be taxed so much that he could not donate money to Kamala Harris's campaign. I think the big money needs to get out of politics. Again, going down to your list though. Going down your list though. Elon Musk, a guy who grew up in apartheid South Africa, whose father owned an emerald mine, blood money runs through his fucking veins, and made his money essentially investing in projects he never made but then took credit for. The only credit I'll give him is branding. Like, he gets to put his name on shit, and he got to play the role of, I'm the real life Tony Stark for many, many years, until now he really wanted to get involved in politics, and now his, like, previous universal popularity is down or whatever. But yes, he was a tech bro futurist that thought that technology and technology alone can fix the world's problems. Mark Zuckerberg is a guy who when Facebook was started as a website to like compare the girls in Harvard. Mark Zuckerberg is a guy who collected data. Mark Zuckerberg is not a left-wing guy. Mark Zuckerberg would not support John F. Kennedy, FDR, Lyndon Johnson, Harry Truman, or any Democrat of that era because they would tax the hell out of him. Do you think RFK's politics is comparable at all to John F. Kennedy?
Oh my God.
Do you think it is, like, genuinely? Tulsi Gabbard is quite literally in a cult. She is quite literally.
Oh my God.
Do you deny that? Tulsi
Do
Gabbard.
you see my point?
No, I don't see
You
your
don't
point.
see
I think
my
your point is. I think your point is ridiculous.
These are all prominent Democrats. One of them was elected
No,
in the fucking House.
none of them was prominent. There's many House members that aren't prominent. Tulsi Gabbard has always been. Tulsi Gabbard.
By the Democratic Party.
Tulsi
He was
Gabbard.
running for president.
Tulsi.
For
Yeah.
president and vice
How?
president. She was
How
considered
much?
the need for the vice presidency
She
for Joe
she was.
Biden.
Excuse me. She was never the vice president. I don't understand what you're talking about there.
She was considered as a running
Okay,
mate for Joe
well-
Biden. He chose Kamala Harris because she was a DEI.
I don't.
But
I
Tulsi
assure
Gabbard was
you.
in the running.
I assure you that Joe Biden never took or genuinely considered Tulsi Gabbard to be his VP nominee. Believe me.
You
when
can
I tell
assure
you
me
that.
of that. He was on
Yes.
his. She was on his short list.
By
In
2020,
2019.
you can put people on your short list, but it could be like performative reasons. I don't know exactly what's going on in Joe Biden's brain.
Oh my God!
But I assure
The
you
short list
that
is in public, dude.
I
The short list
assure
is
you,
consideration.
I assure you that Tulsi Gabbard, who at that point in the Democratic primary was essentially being framed as like an Assad puppet by every like sort of mainstream Democrat, was not in the consideration for Joe fucking Biden. And going back to
Dude.
Tulsi Gabbard, in
Joe
the
Rogan.
mid 2000s, Tulsi Gabbard was going on Fox News and demanding that Obama talk about Islamic terrorism or whatever. Islamic this, Islamic that. Because she is part of a branch of Hinduism that is not connected to like mainstream Hinduism. That is quite literally a cult. There is literal video
That's
of
one
her.
aspect of it.
There is
Can you think
literal.
of an alternative reason why she
There
was
is
so against Islamic terrorism? Can you think of any alternative
there
reason?
is literal
Other than she's deployed
video
to the Middle
of
East and saw
her.
Islamic terrorism.
There is literal video of her like praising this human cult leader, saying that we're all his children and this, that, or the other. Like, she has always been bizarre. Okay, Tulsi
Dude,
Gabbard is not your
you-
model Democrat. Now go and then
In
you
the
bring
8
up Joe
people
Rogan.
I've listed, and the 8
Yes.
people I've listed,
You've
you're proving
listed
my
two
point.
You've listed 2 billionaires, an endless contrarian, and a cult member.
I also listed Mark Zuckerberg, Joe
Mark
Rogan.
Zuckerberg.
Dude,
Oh,
you're-
excuse
you're
me.
missing my point.
Excuse me. I missed not 2 billionaires, 3 billionaires.
Dude, you've missed my point.
Again,
You've missed it entirely, and that's the Democratic Party. You're missing the point.
brother,
This is
if
why
you,
lost.
brother, if you propose, like I believe in, the Democratic Party's values that saw the greatest expansion of the middle class we ever seen, Democratic Party values, since you want to bring up Kennedy, of John F. Kennedy, all these people you listed off would call me a communist.
I never brought up JFK. I'm talking about RFK.
Yeah, I'm saying. Yeah, no,
But
I'm saying. No, why I brought up JFK is I'm saying, if I was proposing John F. Kennedy's proposals, practically all these motherfuckers that you listed off would say that's too radical. Oh shit. Hold on. Wait, hold on. I'll call you back. Hold up. I fucked up, bruh. I accidentally hit the hang up button. I wanted to continue that conversation. Brother, if you're watching, call back. If you are watching, call back. I think I'm calling you back.
Your call has been forwarded to an...
Was that your number or the other person's number? I'll do this one. Hello, were you the guy I was just talking to?
Oh my God, you actually called. Yeah, sorry, my phone call dropped. You actually called
Yeah,
back.
Yeah, sorry. I accidentally hit the space bar as I was talking. But why I bring up JFK is if a politician was proposing John F. Kennedy's policies, existing policies and his proposals, they would call him a communist. And no billionaire in the modern day would be supporting him. Their class interests are against what the Democratic Party's policy positions and values when the Democratic Party was at its best.
JFK cut taxes. By
Yeah,
the way.
okay. And what did he cut it to?
What? So it went from like 90 to like 65 or something crazy.
Yes. So if we
Pretty
propose
big, dude.
if we propose 65% top marginal tax rates, do you think any of these billionaires would support that?
No. No one supports tax rates because they don't see taxes being used efficiently.
Wonderful.
That's the
Wait,
thing
wonderful,
they fail
wonderful.
to see.
Wait. That's wonderful. So you're listing off, oh man, these guys used to be Democrats, except they wouldn't support Democratic policies when we saw the greatest expansion of the middle class in this country.
Let me ask you something. This is coming down two things. First, the point that I was making is that how the left has taken. There are certain people, a part of the left, that have left the left, and what you've done.
No, I don't think they were ever
see,
left. I don't think they were ever left.
But that's just it. The left didn't have that opinion when they were left. The left was fully supportive of them when they were left.
I don't know, like Obama got along with Elon Musk. It's not about leaving the party. It's about billionaires don't belong in the Democratic Party.
No, dude, that's not the position to take. That
absolutely is the position to take. Billionaires shouldn't exist. We should they have been destroying this country. They have been destroying the worker. They have been taking your right away to form a union. Donald Trump just removed a member of the National Labor Relations Board, which are preventing unions from being able to have cases where their bosses are doing labor violations going through the NLRB. These
unions
motherfuckers
are a free market concept that came from the ultra wealthy having too much power. Was the concept of a union.
So do you think I'm against a union?
No,
they are absolutely. Wait. Whoa. You don't think that the billionaire class is trying to prevent unions?
I don't think it's no, I do not. The billionaire class doesn't prevent.
Are you serious?
The billionaire class clashes with the union. Yes, I'm serious. The billionaire class.
You don't think that any? So they clash with it. You don't think that there's any union busting of any sort? You don't think that there's ever been, say, retaliation for trying to form a union? You don't think that union membership? You don't think that union membership has been going down?
When people unionize, what the market will respond to, and the market being the CEO will respond with, is to see if that there is a labor force that will fill in the positions that the union members once took but are holding out on. To say, okay, you think you're worth $70,000.
So they're anti-union, and they try to bust a union.
And by the way, just so that we can understand the economic foundation. Unions. Historically, you know who unions hate more than anything?
Who?
Immigrants. Mm-hmm. They hate immigrants.
They can be wrong sometimes. And it depends on the industry. And yes, I don't have to fully agree with every single union, but I can agree with some aspects of that a union believes in. I feel like you have like this sort of all in or nothing. Yeah, no, I'm for immigration.
I'm not an all in or nothing.
Any new immigrant workers should be able to be part of a union. Frankly, unions are looking a lot more diverse than they were in the 1900s. That's a good thing. A lot more different people.
I don't understand this idea of taxing the billionaires that you're so adamant about. My question is
we should because money is power, and we've been cutting with this promise of trickle down. It hasn't trickled down, but it has given them a lot more money. 50%.
This is what I want to know.
We went from an industrial economy. We went from an industrial economy to a finance economy, and that has enriched the billionaires at rates we haven't ever seen, while we have been stuck. And that's not okay.
I need to see where your heart is at. Are you in support of taxing the billionaires because you think that it's wrong that anyone should just have more than $1 billion? Or are you trying to tax these people because you think that they're corrupt in nature? Like, why is it that you want to tax the billionaires so bad?
I think there's a variety. I think in general, when you're part of the 99%, you have a class interest that is preventing a tiny 1% of the population from having unbelievable levels of power. I think that you want to fund your social programs. I think you also have to have, going back to that first point, a reasonable distribution, not of wealth per se, but of power across the different groups. And when you have this situation that we have now, we have unbelievable levels of failed economic policies being pushed by these billionaires that get to buy out the politicians.
So you're saying this, hey, it's not, and this is, I need to attack this because this is a scary point that you're making, right? Well, first and foremost, what are you? It's scary because what you're doing is you're doing something that is antithetical.
I'm doing something that Franklin Roosevelt did, and John F. Kennedy
Roosevelt
did.
Dude, that's not the.
And Dwight Eisenhower did.
Thing. That's not the model, dude. That's not the model. The model isn't to want to tax people out of wealth, right? It's not a good idea.
I think they would absolutely.
disincentivize-
I think they would absolutely be very happy if they had $999 million. You know, honestly,
Name a
I don't
country.
think if you have $1 billion compared to $99 million, I don't think your life really changes that dramatically.
Okay,
You know?
that's just it, dude. What you're going to do, right? The thing that you fail to see is that in the acquisition of the billionaire status, right? The billion is irrelevant because it could be 1 billion, 5 billion, 10 billion, 50 billion, right? And it's not even the B that they care about because you're right. They don't care if it's 999 million or a billion. But in the acquisition of doing that, they achieve great things for the country. And historically,
not
it's
really.
shown.
Not
you
really.
cannot think of it. You cannot name another country that has done more innovation than America and the history of the world.
Right, and you're giving
Name
way
one.
too much. You're giving way too much credit to billionaires. I actually want more money in the hands of regular people, so that they're instead of like, going all day every day for their like shitty job that they hate, they can actually explore hobbies and passions and so on and so forth, so that they can be the innovators. Right.
You sound like a communist, dude. Are you supportive of communism?
Okay,
You're supportive of communism?
Can you define communism?
Yeah, like, are we talking about Marxist communism? Karl Marx?
I don't know.
Communist Manifesto communism?
You're saying I'm a communist. So
It's the eradication
define
of property, of private property. Communism is the
so
eradication of private property.
do you believe that I want to get rid of private property? Anything I've said here gets rid of private property.
Well, yeah. When you want to tax people, you're getting rid of
Taxation
private property.
taxation does not end private property.
No, I'm not saying that taxation ends. Taxation doesn't end private property.
Yeah, so I think
Taxation is a form of the redaction of property.
if your definition of communism is to end private property, and I would actually say like socialism would be like collective ownership of the means of productions, and you need socialism to get to communism. Nothing I have proposed here would make for collective ownership of the means of productions. Nothing I propose here would end private property. So the idea of me being a communist is silly. I'm simply saying that we should. I'm simply saying that we should adopt tax rates that we had in this country when we had the greatest expansion of middle class, and when we were undoubtedly capitalist.
First, that's not two things. I'm not trying to paint you as a communist. I'm sorry. What I was I was being sincere, and when I was saying, "Hey, what you're saying is pretty."
So was
Dwight
D. Eisenhower a communist?
No, Eisenhower wasn't a communist, but Eisenhower was an expansionist. I don't know why you keep going to him. Eisenhower should be your model, dude.
Was JFK? I'm just talking about the economics here. Was JFK a communist?
Yeah. No, I don't think JFK was a communist.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying you're a communist.
So this is the thing.
So
this is the thing here.
To know.
Yeah. This is the thing here.
What's your end goal?
I'm not even
taxes income?
Taxes the hell out of these people. So again, under the tax rate under JFK when he came in there, so this was really Eisenhower's tax rate was at the highest income tax for individuals was 91%, a marginal tax on income over 400,000, equivalent to approximately $3.8 million in 2025. So the literal purpose of that tax would be so that if you make money over $3.8 million, 91% of that would be taxed. You would still make some income. You'd still make 9% of income from it, but you would be taxed to the point that you wouldn't be able to grow at such an exponential rate. And as a result, even with the tax cut, 65% is perfectly fine to me. That would be a massive increase. You know what I mean?
Dude, you're missing the point.
The purpose
you
of
want
it.
to tax them for
The purpose of it would be to prevent them from growing to such an extreme, and allow for money to be invested back into the United States, back into regular workers. And when we had that economic philosophy dominant in capitalism in America, in the West, that's when we saw growth together. That's Keynesianism. Keynesianism works, neoliberalism doesn't. And trickle down, and neoliberalism, trickle down, whatever you want to call it. We've been able to prove that for the last 40 years based on the fact that wages have been stagnant. When we had Keynesianism,
let's call it Smithian economics.
When we had Keynesianism,
classic economics.
When we had Keynesianism,
wealth of nations.
When we had Keynesianism, we had a much more stable boom and bust cycle, and we actually saw wages grow with corporate profits and CEO pay. I simply want the companies to do well. I want the rich to do well, but the people should do well too. And if that requires, instead of on the graph that the rich's wealth spikes. Instead, they have to grow gradually with the rest of us. That's perfectly fine. And that's perfectly functionable under capitalism.
You see, that the thing is that we're looking at the same goal, but we have such radical ways to get there. You're saying, well, these people can get so powerful, we should prevent them from ever getting powerful, because then
Yes.
it's like, but we're basing this, but then you also base it off of percentages. So it's like, okay, so they're a billionaire. Now they're a 999 millionaire. It's like, that's still the top 1% of the country. You're just preventing other people from having income. Right?
No.
You're just redistributing wealth.
Yeah. You redistribute the wealth, and
Okay, that doesn't solve your problem.
Maybe you have more tax money to be able to invest in this country, and instead of investing into more bombs, maybe you invest into college, and maybe you invest into education. You invest in the college, you invest in the trade school, and then you get the regular people getting better jobs, and then they get more money in their pockets. Maybe you invest in a jobs program. Maybe you invest in bigger infrastructure programs, so the money is flowing into regular people. And the best way you can tell an economy is doing well is based on the money that's being circulated. Not the money going into Wall Street just to grow and grow and grow exponentially, but the money going to your local store, and that local store being able to buy new product, and then the supplier being able to hire new workers, and so on and so forth. That's how you know economy is doing well. Not when just Mr. CEO is able to invest endless amounts of money into the stock market.
Dude. This isn't solving these. There's so many problems that you're trying to tackle with taxing the rich.
Yeah.
You're saying, hey, they corrupt politicians. It's like,
yes.
They'll still corrupt politicians, dude.
Yeah.
They'll just be the most powerful people.
In addition to the corruption thing, money ultimately is power. If you do take away like billions and billions of dollars from Elon Musk, and you do have a system where, for example, let's say like my policies get done, and there's at least more taxation, and maybe you just have a liberal president that does like what Joe Biden did, but a little bit bigger, so there's bigger jobs programs and so on and so forth. And ultimately, if you see like the sort of wealth inequality graph is a bit more stabilized, and there's a bit more money to regular people. That's less money that these ultra wealthy people could donate to the politicians, and that's more money that that regular people can donate to politicians, whether it's their local, whether it's presidential, and so on and so forth. So that's one level of dealing with corruption, right? But there's obviously there needs to be electoral reform in general that that literally puts heavier limits. Period. That makes it so you can't do endless donations and super PACs and so on and so forth.
You're missing the mark, man. You're saying, hey, let's tax the rich, and that way they won't be. You're missing the mark because you're saying, hey, they're not going to have as much influence on the political system, the political party. It's like, no, yes, they will. And then second is that the effects
I'm sure.
that are going to
yes, they will have a degree of influence. They will have a degree of influence in parties, right? But I would say they would have less influence than what they do currently, because right now they have unbelievable influence at a level we've never seen before.
Other than the statement, no, I do not believe that. Other than that statement, or that's never going to happen. How do you address the fact that if you cap people from making a certain amount of money, you're also going to cap innovation?
Why would you cap innovation?
Because people won't have the drive to complete the thing that they want to complete, because they know that if they do it, they're just going to get taxed.
I disagree with that idea, and this is why. I think what you would have if you do that is more money in regular people's pockets, more ability to spend time on passions and leisure, more ability for regular people to be the innovators, not just the top 1%. Right?
Regular people are the innovators.
Yes.
They become the top 1%.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, and you would see more people, regular people, being able to grow their wealth rather than this sort of little club of people that we've seen as a result of insane income inequality, where the poorest people are forced to stay at their level because they need to make sure that they work so they can pay rent at the end of the day. If you can have more money in people's pockets, and less centralization in the tiny 1%, you can have regular people become businessmen.
They were regular
You can have
people.
them. Elon Musk was never a regular person. He was never one of us. Donald Trump was never one of us. Okay,
that's two examples.
Yes, many billionaires
Mark
come from
Zuckerberg
wealth.
was one of us.
Mm-hmm. I don't know
The
Mark
CEO of
Zuckerberg's life
Starbucks.
story. I don't know Mark Zuckerberg's life story. Yes, Howard Schultz I know grew up poor, but ultimately Howard Schultz grew up to be a union buster, so that's cool. Yeah, no,
Jim Walton was one of us,
I don't even know who
right?
that individual is, but
The guy that owns Walmart.
I
The
want
guy that
less
started
people.
Walmart,
Yeah,
dude.
I
Source
want less
number
people.
one.
I want people to be able to grow their wealth and be able to do opportunities and chase passions, chase dreams, which you would be more likely to do if you had better wealth distribution in this country, right?
No,
But
okay.
I would want
Case?
I would want less people to become Howard Schultz and Mark Zuckerbergs and Elon Musk. We don't need that level.
Can I make? There's an alternative way to attack this problem that's far more efficient through data, through history, through objective metrics.
Yeah.
Which is instead of trying to tax the rich and take something from people that are already taxed a lot, that will just find ways around that. They'll just deduct it through property.
Yeah, we should close the
claim an
loopholes.
income, dude.
We should close the loopholes. And if we close
close
the
the
loopholes,
loopholes.
yeah, we can close loopholes. And if they keep
Not without breaking the Constitution. You can't.
You're telling me you can't make economic reforms that close
Not
certain
saying
loopholes.
that. I'm saying
You're
that
telling
the
me that
loophole
you can't make it. You're telling me that you can't make. You're telling me
to break
you're telling
fundamental
me
principles.
you're telling me that you can't make legal issues out of, say, a billionaire avoiding taxes by I don't know, shipping their money to a tax haven.
Okay.
Oh, my yacht is under a tax haven. You're telling me there's nothing that we can do.
Not without breaking the Constitution. No.
No, I think there is stuff you can do while respecting the Constitution.
You're calling that yacht a tax haven. Let me try and create another.
No, I'm saying that they would have their yacht under the registration of a tax haven. I'm saying that we, if we're gonna use our military, right, we should probably have it so that American citizens aren't able to avoid American taxes because they're so rich. Yes, there will be people trying to game the system, but we should be closing loopholes and closing loopholes and closing loopholes.
Wait a minute, really quick. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty big on the policy here, dude. I'm pretty big. I know my words. The Posse Comitatus Act prevents the military from being used in a way which is internal to the country. There's been like 2 times since 1878 that we've done it.
You prevent the military from being used internally in the country, you said?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's why I quite literally said use the military to put pressure on tax havens to not function as tax havens and not take American wealth and hoard it in their country. Okay?
That is considered the tax haven. You're using the military against private citizens.
The Cayman Islands is not part of the United States.
So you want to wait? Oh, what? Whoa! I'm sorry. You want to take the military and you want to use it to take
if
in the Cayman Islands?
If there is a history in this country of like invading Iraq when they had no weapons of mass destruction, we took a piece of Panama to make the Panama Canal. We have a history of using the military. I think we should actually use our military to crack down on tax havens.
Your argument is that we've invaded Iraq, we've done unconstitutional, we've done awful things before.
Yeah, the difference is this isn't
let's just
awful.
do awful things all the time.
The difference is this isn't awful.
We invaded Iraq, invade the Cayman Islands, take the tax assets of our private citizen in our country.
Yeah. The difference is this isn't awful though.
Dude,
this would just be enforcing our laws.
No one wants to become wealthy
no, people would absolutely still want to be wealthy if we have high tax rates in America.
Not if the military can feed your asset at any given point in time.
In America, here, let's just go back to the real life example real quick. In America, when we were in the 1950s and had 90% high marginal tax rates on people making over $400,000, $3.8 million in 2025 money, people still grew their wealth. Social mobility was better. The wealth in people's pockets went up. So yes, people will want to continue to grow their social standing, and people quite literally did when we had the system that I had. Now we can go into hypotheticals about like what if someone is trying to do a loophole. Well, I say do our best within our legal power to close loopholes. You say, there's nothing we can legally do to close loopholes. I say, I'm sure there's a way people can find ways to close loopholes.
Dude,
right?
you're
saying
taking
it's
the 1950s
impossible
as this one time in America where we had high tax rates and saying it
No,
was a successful time.
I'm talking
It wasn't
about
even
the
the most
I'm talking
successful time
about
in
I'm talking
America.
about the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, when we saw growth, when we saw social mobility. You know, quite literally the American dream. When you work harder, you can actually see some growth. I understand that there were problems in the times, particularly the social problems. I'm not saying we adopt the social policy of the mid 20th century, but I'm saying we adopt the economic policy because it makes sense.
What I'm saying to you is that you're taking one. Okay, a few things. The thing that I'm trying to make an argument for that I've yet to even get to is, instead of trying to tax the rich, which is a terrible, terrible indicator for how well another group of people is going to doing, on the basis alone that the government is inefficient with distributing money.
There should also be government programs to provide work, to build infrastructure.
The government programs never go away, dude. They always expand. When the mission's done.
Fine with me.
What the Tennessee Valley Authority? I've seen what's the point of it? Under FDR, it had a function to try and create jobs and growth.
There were many like colleges and universities that were built during the New Deal that still employ people to this day. There were hospitals that
What
were
does that have to do with the
during
Tennessee
New Deal
Valley
that were built
Authority?
today.
You're viewing all the positive things. What about all the negative things?
If there was a negative thing, you can deal with case by case. But yes, there was an overwhelming amount of positive things when you build dams that generate electricity. There's an overwhelmingly positive thing
dude.
when you have a GI Bill that helps people get back in their homes. When Japan has a system where it isn't fully like public, it's a deregulated zoning laws to make it easier for people to build and build tall and build in designs that they want, but they also mix among the private housing good public housing options, and their supply by far surpasses demand. And unlike their neighbor South Korea, they actually have affordable housing. And there's situations like in Tokyo where the population is growing because people are moving to Tokyo from different portions of Japan, but Tokyo is still considered a fairly affordable city. So there's many different government approaches.
I don't think you know what you're
There's many different government approaches.
About. I've lived in Yokosuka. I lived in Japan, and I can tell you it is not a cheap place to live. I can assure you, people live there.
The rates in Tokyo, it is tiny. It is smaller than what we're used to in the United States. I think more importantly to people is to have a roof over their head, and ultimately Japan does not have the housing crisis that most Western countries and even Eastern countries have.
Do you know why Japan doesn't have a housing crisis right now?
Because they have massive supply. They have massive supply.
People.
No, it's not just that. It's not just that. Tokyo, their population has been growing in Tokyo, and it's not like housing has gotten rapidly more expensive. There is still affordable housing options.
But you keep on saying Japan.
And it is
You're saying Japan is a country, but then you name a city.
Yeah, so I'm specifically talking about Tokyo, one of the biggest cities in Japan, a continually growing city, and a city that handles their housing pretty well compared to other major cities. It's still one of the biggest financial. It's still one of the biggest financial capitals of the world.
Good, and you're saying the city's doing great.
My understanding of Japan is that they do have ultimately a high supply of housing, which in turn, based on basic supply and demand, does mean
because they have
relatively
no people.
Better. No, it's not just that. It's because they have a culture of building.
No, it's not just that. It's primarily that.
Yeah, there's multiple factors. But again, the excuse you're making there is like, oh, it's because they have no people. The exception to that in Japan is in Tokyo, where the number of people is growing and they still have affordable housing options. We don't need to hyper-focus on Japan. But my point in bringing that up is that there are more.
You keep on saying Japan's the country to model after, and then I say it's not.
I'm not saying it's exactly the model to after. But I'm bringing it up to show you that there's many policy approaches that we can take that is, yes, taking advantage of public resources, but also in Japan, it is just easier to develop compared to the United States. There is less regulation on what type of housing you can build and where you can build it. There is more variety in the zoning laws and so on and so forth. Let me show you what you just did. I'm explaining to you. I know what I did myself. I'm explaining to you that there are quote unquote more leftist methods to improving situations, but there's also capitalist solutions, including making it easier for people to develop.
What you just said, I say this. I say Phoenix, Arizona is the model place. I mean, America's the greatest country in the world. And then you're like, wait a minute, but isn't Phoenix only 3 million people? You're like, yeah, it's huge. I'm like, right, but the country is not doing great. And you're like, yeah, but Phoenix is killing it. It's like, okay, so should we model the entire country after Phoenix?
No, but
No.
I'm not just
No.
saying that it's just Tokyo. I'm saying in Japan in general, they have a national zoning law. They don't do it by localities. They don't do it by municipality like we do in the United States.
Instead of focusing on
And as a
taxing the
result,
rich, why don't you focus on decreasing the poverty level?
The funny thing is, I'm out here talking about other capitalist methods of improving situations, and you're still getting mad about it. You're still saying, why don't you stop hating rich people more? I'm saying
the capitalist
in Japan,
method that
I'm
you
saying
just
in
claimed is a
Japan,
zoning regulation by Japan, which isn't capitalist
Yeah.
at all. It's a regulation by the government.
So you don't think
That's not a
that
capitalist
you don't
method.
think you so what I'm explaining to you is that it's a lot easier for private developers and individuals to build the types of housing that they want in a variety of zonings compared to the United States, which is a lot more strict, which will say this is residential only. You can only build a single family residential here, no exceptions. This is business only. You cannot build any residential here, no exceptions. My point with Japan, well, first of all, zoning laws are going to exist everywhere. Okay, in communist countries, in socialist countries, in capitalist countries. Okay, I don't understand what you're saying with the point like you can't bring up zoning laws in terms of capitalism. Capitalist countries have zoning laws.
I'm not saying that. I never said that. What you said was this is a capitalist solution.
I think it is a capitalist solution because it quite literally makes it easier for people with capital to build the types of houses that they want. It actually makes it a little bit more democratized for individuals who want to buy a home, that they can build the type of home that they want with less regulation. I think that is a solution that maintains capitalism. So yes, it is a capitalist solution. I understand with like libertarian types in general, like unless you're doing full anarcho-capitalism, like that's not capitalism. But the world's more complex than that.
We do that in this country. What you said is done in this country.
We do not do that in this country.
Yes,
yes,
it's
localized, and it's localized. It is localized, and it's very inefficient. Now, I'm not saying that tomorrow we're gonna adopt the Japanese zoning laws as it is right now, but I would recommend for regular people to get involved in their local politics and make it a little bit easier to build, and also like make it a little bit easier to build taller. And
the problem isn't
with having the market and private individuals building, increasing that supply. Also, yes, do some public housing in order to do your role in increasing supply, and have it be cheaper than the average market cost to compete with the other homes on the market to encourage them to lower their prices. I would like to see that done on a bigger scale. But yes, my point with housing is all in. Do the public, do the private, make it easier to build, have efficient zoning laws, do the capitalism, but increase the supply. Meet demand, surpass demand.
Okay. Let's go back a second to the solution that I think you should focus on, rather than taxing the living piss out of the rich.
I do want to tax the rich because wealth centralization is dangerous, and it does give them unbelievable amounts of power.
And what I'm saying is that taxing the rich
and I think they
they
are evil. So if we want to just like get deep into it, I think people like Elon Musk are evil, genuinely.
I know. Do you think anyone rich is evil?
I don't think every single rich person is evil because I consider people that are like making a real good amount of six figures rich people, and they can be perfectly good. But I do think that when you look at the billionaires particularly, and you look at someone like Elon Musk, he's like a cartoon villain. And when you look at someone like Mark Cuban, and Mark Cuban wants to get rid of Lena Khan from the FTC, who has specifically just been doing good work for consumers, it's a pretty evil thing to do, but ultimately he's influenced by his class interest. That's kind of shitty, and he might be a billionaire on my side, but I can criticize the billionaires on my side too.
Listen, this is I can tell it's not about with this specific issue. It's not left versus right. I can tell it's up versus down, and I want you to just maybe hear me out, dude. Instead of trying to tax the piss out of the rich, why not instead focus, which this country has done very well historically, and now there are problems right now with decreasing the poverty level. Because
you need to tax the rich to do that.
No, you fucking...
Yes, you do.
Oh, my God.
You absolutely need to do that.
It's been done.
You need
it's
to...
been
yeah,
done without that.
And it was done particularly in a time where we had the greatest expansion of the middle class, the 1950s, the 1960s, when we recovered from the economy, when we set the global standard for capitalist nations across the world.
It was done in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was the greatest economic boom in our country was in, what, 91 to 2001 or 90 to 2001?
I think the financial market went well, but by that point we saw massive deindustrialization.
The financial market was doing well, and the poverty level decreased correlationally.
Instead of GM being like that, or whoever the car company was that was the highest employer, it became Walmart, right? And we saw wages were stagnant. So, like, yeah, I don't think the 90s is the best example if we want to talk about people actually growing their wealth, because that was part of the beginning of this neoliberal era.
No, but growing the wealth is just a means to an end. You see, growing the wealth is just a means to an end. Here's what I mean. Yeah, there was a decrease in crime that's corollary with decreasing the poverty level. When you decrease the poverty level, you decrease crime. You decrease crime, you have a better society. You have a better society. You see my point? You see what I'm trying to say? It's not just about, don't just attack someone because they're rich. Try and attack the system.
Well, you need to. One of the issues is because they are rich, it's not in their class interest to do actual good policy for good people, right? So.
I don't think that's true. I think the wealthy give. Listen, I don't suck a billionaire's pecker. I'm not saying that, dude. What I'm saying though is that to just take a broad stroke brush and say, oh, the wealthy are the people that don't have a class interest of the poor and therefore they're evil. It's like
they just don't. Their interest is hoarding more wealth. So you have policy which blows up the deficit, and
if their interest is hoarding more wealth.
I mean, why did Elon Musk stop the public, or why did he push for the Boring Company? Those tunnels. Why did he do that?
I think the idea was to connect San Francisco to LA and DC to Boston, right?
The idea was to prevent public transport by being built by scamming these local governments into giving him money and giving him grants and giving him permissions to build these things. And ultimately what he created was a more inefficient system of the subway. He has class interest in preventing public transport, being a car manufacturer.
Do you know why he stopped that program?
Because it was shit.
Why do you think he stopped that program?
I don't even know if it stopped, but it was shit. It was bad.
It goes to your point. The reason he stopped that program was because he had so much government red tape from California and from D.C.
Oh,
mashallah. It would be so unbelievably fucking expensive.
Mashallah. Thank goodness you made a wonderful case for red tape. Actually, you made a wonderful case for regulation. Because, brother, I'm telling you, that tunnel shit is fucking horrible.
Dude,
you want to build.
Point.
You want to.
You're
saying like, oh yeah, Elon building single lane roads underground. That would have solved the traffic issue. That can only handle Teslas and so on and so forth.
Not the problem.
My point bringing that up is he specifically did that plan in order to take money away from actual public transportation initiatives. Make local governments give him money. Trust me, we're gonna change the traffic problem. I'm fucking real life Tony Stark. It's gonna be amazing. And he made a shitty subway that was cars only, specifically his cars. And you can see his specific interest why he does that. Because he's a car manufacturer. Of course he doesn't want more public transport. Duh! So he's gonna take the money that would otherwise go to that and make a silly little fucking tunnel with gamer lights.
What
that
you
isn't going to go anywhere.
So heavily in the past hour and some change, what you've advocated so heavily for is an increase in the system of government. You want more government regulation. You want bigger government systems. You want all these things. And then at the same token, you then say, well, we need to try and incentivize capitalism by creating regulations that incentivize building. And then I bring up
I'm saying No. I'm not saying all building. I'm not saying all building at all. I don't want billionaires like Elon to build shit tunnels for his shitty car with gamer lights to take money away from public transportation, because remember, he got grants. It wasn't just they deregulated and he got to do it. They gave him the zoning rights, they gave him the money, and that money could have gone to public transportation. But what I am saying when it comes to deregulation, I don't mind zoning laws which make it easier to build houses in more places, which make it easier to build housing on top of business, which makes it easier to build a multi-family unit. Many localities have height limits. Get rid of some of these height limits or make it taller so you can build taller buildings and have more units per house or per building.
You want to decrease the height limit in Hawaii, huh?
How's that
gonna work out?
I don't know what the details are in Hawaii. I'm saying in like fucking.
That's the point. You don't know the details in Hawaii.
I don't know the details in Hawaii, but I think I think most cities. I think most cities can handle it, and particularly I'm advocating for people to go into their city and try to make it easier to build. Get involved in city politics. That's my position. I don't know why you're bringing up Hawaii. Maybe in Hawaii, yeah, there might be a city that there is arbitrary height limits that don't really make much sense, and maybe a taller building would be done. I don't know what the political dynamics are in Hawaii, but I'm saying most areas in America could probably use more units. That, meeting the demand of housing would probably be good for
the
pricing.
Point that I'm making, that I'm ultimately been trying to make this entire time, is that there is a hypocrisy in one claim over the other that you're
There
making.
is no hypocrisy. It is not hypocritical. It is not hypocritical to say that. It is absolutely not hypocritical. It is not hypocritical, my friend, to say that we can deregulate on some levels when it comes to housing. But yes, we should regulate so that billionaires like Elon Musk can't build shit tunnels under your city just because they feel like it, because they want to make it harder to build public transportation. There is good use of regulation, and there are bad use of regulation.
Okay.
Like it's a duh position. Of course, there's good and bad in things. That's why I'm not a socialist. That's why I'm not a conservative. And that's why I'm in the social democratic position, because I look at a time where shit just worked a little better.
Dude, you're looking at one aspect of one time in one decade of this country.
No, multiple decades.
Arguably in one area too.
Multiple decades.
Oh, dude. When in reality, man, what I'm trying to emphasize with you. Okay.
Yeah.
Multiple decades.
Yeah.
Fine.
And I'm looking at the multiple decades. I'm looking at the multiple decades since the 80s and how inefficient it's been for regular working people. It's kind of shit for people.
Okay. I agree with this once again. Like, I agree that wage has stagnated for the past 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
That, the average 30-year-old was getting paid $35K in 2000. But the cost of egg, and that stayed the same, but the cost of eggs and the cost of steak and the cost of beef has gone up, to an incredulous amount. Like, I agree with all this. What I fail to see is I'm not even asking you to take it as gospel. I'm saying there's a different way to attack this problem other than taxing, which creates bitterness and inefficiency and bloats government.
Taxation is part of it. Yes, there are multiple levels to it. Taxation is part of it. There's no need to run from it. Yes, we cannot have a system where there's ridiculous wealth inequality, where these people get to dominate policy and they get to do policy that benefits them.
But the thing is that the uber wealthy also create so much good, and now they do a lot of bad.
Unfortunately, it doesn't show up in the wages. So.
It does in different ways, and it does show up in wages, because what you keep thinking is that the average proletariat, the average worker, they compete and they bid a price down, and that's not the case. The average worker bids a price up in a free market system. That's how a union came to be, man. All right, like that's the system at play here. And so if you let it play out naturally,
so you think the free market would just let the unions happen? You think the free market's just gonna let the unions happen?
Well, that is how the unions came about.
It's in their class interest. Yeah, there was a time in this country where if you were like, I don't know, striking with your union, protesting outside or whatever, you get like fucking beat up by Pinkertons. Okay.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in the 30s, 20s.
Yes, that's exactly, precisely. The 30s and 40s, when there were many laws that were passed that made it easier to unionize, when we had a bigger labor movement, and so on and so forth.
What I'm saying is you can still have that without government intervention.
There was government intervention to make that happen.
Right. You can no, there wasn't.
What did Teddy Roosevelt? What did Teddy Roosevelt? Going even more back. What did he do about the coal strike union, or the coal union strike? Who'd he side with?
Okay, Teddy Roosevelt did trust busting, which has not entirely been shown to work.
Yeah, but I'm talking specifically about the coal strike. Who did he side with?
I'm gonna guess the miners.
He sided with the union, right?
Okay.
And
what does that have to do with what I just said?
And that's how things got settled. That's how they got better benefits, and that's how they got back to work. There was not just the free market fixing it. It was a long strike that made a lot of people panic in this country because they needed coal, and the government, the president, had to intervene in the side of the workers.
Right, but that's just it. That's still the free market at work.
That is government intervention, my friend.
Because of the free market.
Good. Well, I'm not stopping the free market. Nothing I said is stopping the free market, I suppose. We need to intervene when we need to. And yes, we need a tax code which prevents a certain small percentage of the population from dominating politics. We need to prevent situations like Elon Musk preventing public transportation by scamming entire cities with his Hyperloop that he promised was going to solve traffic, which it very much didn't.
You know, man, it's just a fundamental difference at the end of the day that we're never going to see eye to eye on, which is that you're like, hey, we should tax, and we should in so many ways, we should disincentivize
Yes, we need to have taxes. And when we have a higher tax rate, more people got more money in their pockets. We saw more social mobility. We saw a great expansion of the middle class. We saw innovation still happen. We saw technology improve. We saw productivity go up.
There's so much that contributes to that during that time.
Yes, including the market. And I'm not stopping the market. But the market needs to be controlled. It's not a fucking rabbit. It's like having a rabid animal. You can't just let a rabid animal run around.
There was a higher income tax, but there was a huge baby boom. There were more people. There was also
yes. There was a big boost of the population.
Only males should enter into the workforce.
There was a big boost of the population too. So that's why I personally am for immigration. Yes, there's multiple factors.
But
right?
that we had never seen in the history of any country ever in the world.
What, we've never seen immigration?
What?
What are you talking about? What have we never seen? I literally said,
like... We've never seen a military-industrial complex the size that had developed in the 50s and the 60s up until then.
Well, we have a massive military-industrial complex now.
Right. When did it start?
But even then, when we went back to... after World War II, I mean, the real growth was in the civilian sector of the economy.
Right, and you keep on contributing that to the fact that there was a high income tax. And I'm saying that you shouldn't...
It's one of many factors. There was also massive government programs. There was also a different culture. There was also more unions. And yes, we should pass laws to make it easier to unionize. We should have a national labor relations board, which prevents Elon Musk from busting a union.
Economists very much submit to the fact that the increase in the size of government and the budgetary increase in government leads to a decrease ultimately in an economy's growth. It lessens the growth. Yes.
That's one of the things. In Keynesianism versus this sort of neoliberal system we have today, you have you have smaller booms. But you know what? You have smaller busts too. That's the trade-off that I'm very much willing to make.
You have smaller booms and smaller busts, but
smaller booms and smaller busts and more stability.
In the classic society, you get a higher outcome overall.
I guess when you say classical, it's also, I'm assuming we're kind of describing the more neoliberal approach, right?
Sure, I'll use your terminology.
You have massive surges, sure. particularly not really with the regular people, as we've seen the wages be stagnant.
if you
You
look
have
at
you have a lot of the growth, excuse me, in finance among the richest people, among the biggest corporations. Yes, they see growth. I don't deny that one second, and they have much bigger growth. But then, unsurprisingly, when we have that sort of economic system, we see much bigger bust. And within this century alone, each downturn has been the biggest downturn since the Depression. Whether we're talking about the recession, or whether we're talking about the, albeit shorter, downturn during COVID.
Let me phrase
But
it like
yes,
this. You
it
have
was
a
more
Keynesian
dramatic.
system and a neoliberal system, right?
Yes.
Both Keynesian system, big or small boom, small bust. Neoliberal. Greed.
Hello? Hello? You kind of cut out for a second. Can you repeat that? Hello, are you there? Hello? Nope. You gonna call back? Feel free to call back, buddy. I'll let you call back, but we're gonna end stream soon. Okay? Where'd my shit go? Hold on. Where'd my chat? I see Dwight has been talking to himself. Benchwarmers in the game of Night Unite. Have you ever won anything? I know you see this. It's pretty clear you never had a real job. It's also clear you can't read chat. Dwight, when I'm debating, the chat is not the priority. Duh. And Dwight also says, why are poor people so lame? Okay. Again, you guys make it clear your ideology is fuck the poor. Dwight, you say, I know you see this. Yeah, I see it. You hate the fucking poor people, but that's on you, buddy. That's your prerogative. I personally think poor people deserve a great opportunity. Stand back. The adults are now in charge. Okay. Okay, I mean, we'll see what happens. It's been fucking crazy so far. Keep on doing what you're doing, though. Pause federal funds. Do it completely. Go and cut Medicare and Medicaid. And see what happens in 26. I don't think it would be a good idea. Alright, let's see here. How can he say Elon is evil? You are so delusional. You sound jealous of Elon. Yeah, Elon, Maddie, Elon is looking out for you, buddy. Okay? Elon loves you. He's gonna take you out for dinner. You know? It's all about freedom. America is the only country that lives on freedom. America is the best country in the world. Freedom. Even when Biden was in office. We talked, but America always on top. All you do is talk over whoever calls in. Yeah, it's my show, so I'm gonna talk however I want. This guy must do postcards on the side? I don't understand that roast there. I'll be honest with you. I don't quite get it. Well, folks, I think that is all the stream. Hold on. I missed these last 2 months. Y'all hate Trump so much you refuse to see the good that he's doing. The good that he's doing. Like making corruption easier for executive branch employees. Like removing drug negotiations. Like trying to get rid of the Affordable Health Care Act, which would get people off their health insurance. Like pausing federal money, causing chaos across the country. Like getting rid of a member of the National Labor Relations Board, which prevents labor unions from being able to handle disputes with their boss. Like threatening war with Mexico, threatening war with Canada, threatening war with Denmark, threatening war for Greenland, threatening war on Panama, trying to start a trade war with Colombia, trying to start a trade war with China, Mexico, Canada. All those things are good things that he wants to do. You can't convince the delusional Nathan. There's literally no good for the common worker. Yeah, I mean, there really isn't much good things for the common worker under Donald Trump. Honestly. It's unfortunate. Mikey says, all farce. Mikey, all false, excuse me. I said farce. Mikey, you can say it's false, but facts are facts. They don't care if it makes you feel bad. It just is what it is. I know you like the guy, but you don't have to worship the guy. You know? You can criticize him too. Where am I wrong? Were you pro-Trump before the election? I knew. No, I was never pro-Trump. Was never impressed by him at all. Dane says, so Biden is better? Yeah. Yeah, having Lena Khan in the FTC trying to break up the big corporations and prevent mergers and prevent monopolies. Having a National Labor Relations Board which let unions do what unions do and increase the quality of life for regular people. Having an infrastructure plan, the CHIPS Act, having the largest public and private investment into manufacturing construction. Yeah, that is better than trying to make things more expensive through tariffs. That is better than getting out of the World Health Organization and, as we potentially might have to deal with the bird flu. Gordon says all lies. I love this. You have like these old fucks, respectfully, Gordon, I'm assuming you're old, that come in, they hear just proper critique, and it's like, no! It's impossible. It's impossible. My Donald is a good man. Mikey says, it's not facts, bro, and if you're honestly believing Biden is better than Trump, then there's no point in debating your delusions. Yes. Biden was not threatening war with Greenland, Mexico, Canada, Panama. Biden was not trying to do all-encompassing tariffs on all goods coming in from certain countries. Ultimately, that cost will go on the consumer if it's done. Again, you're not making actual arguments. I know you like the guy, but I would hope that you guys could make a more compelling case. You know? But I wonder if I were to restart stream. I know the way the algorithm works, it tends to like juice you in the beginning and then like lowers as time goes on. So I might restart the stream, but I also might want to get off stream because I've already been doing this for 2 hours and 30 minutes. So, it was a good stream. One caller, really, but a really long conversation, really got deep into shit. But yeah. It was actually a decent conversation, though. The guy didn't seem like a insane person, per se. He seemed just a little too into libertarian economics. But also in not full on ANCAP, considering he wants like mass deportation, so on and so forth. But yeah, it was good. This person here says they don't read/watch both sides. Who are you talking about there specifically? Me? I hear the other side. I'm literally interacting with the other side. Oh, wait. You're saying you're agreeing with me. You're saying that the conservatives don't. Yeah. All right, I got you. I appreciate you. You're correct. Yeah, no, they don't interact with the other side, and they can't. A lot of them can't really act normal around the other side because to a lot of these Trump people, it's a sort of religious devotion to Donald Trump. So when you see like a title like my stream that says Trump will hurt you, and when you see like the text above my head that says the Trump president, it is like an insult to their religion. And if someone insults your religion, I understand why you would, be deeply offended by that. But these people should not be looking to Trump as their messiah. It's likely a very disrespectful thing if you are a religious person to equate Donald Trump to that. Dane says, how many houses have you owned? Yeah, ask any 24-year-old how many houses that they personally bought. Stuart says, no, it's America First policy. Really? So Donald Trump suspended foreign aid. Except for what? Tell me what country he exempted. Israel. Now, is Israel America First? Dane, how old are you? Saying, I bought my house at 24. Curious how old you are, because you would be surprised at the housing market today. But it doesn't surprise me that an old fart like yourself would be condescending about. Okay, you're 34. Yeah, no, the housing market was better when you were 10 years ago too. But either way. Oh, on your third. So what are you, like a fucking landlord? So you view housing as an investment. I don't view housing as an investment. Using housing as an investment is demonic, personally. It's about America interests overseas. Yeah. So support Israel, support Israel, support Israel. Another $20 billion to Israel. Another $20 billion to Israel. America first! Make it a fucking $1 trillion to Israel or you're anti-Semitic. I'm thinking I'll just stream tomorrow. I'm in a streaming mood. But I think I did a long enough stream tonight. So, with that, let me play a song. Let me play you guys out with a song. Scott says, were you okay with Ukraine getting it? Well, I'm curious. Is Ukraine being attacked? Meaning they're fighting a war of defense? Yeah, I think that's more justifiable than Israel getting money when they're the ones attacking and committing a genocide. You know. Pretty understandable for them to get some money. Resident says, this person, Scott Adolphs, says, Jesus my savior, not Trump, not calling person old fart rude, being rude. No, I'll call people old fart. I mean, I think that's like one of the least rude ways you can call someone old. Okay, like, it's the fucking internet, okay? This isn't like, oh, I'm gonna be real polite to every single shitty person, right? Like, you gotta have a little bit thicker skin on the internet, okay? But that's, what time do you normally stream? I don't have a specific time, but I just kind of stream whenever. I'll probably, if I do stream tomorrow, it'll probably be in the middle of the afternoon. You know? Just subscribe to the channel and turn on and ring that bell to get notified, I think. Pretty sure that's how it works. Ring that bell, smack that like button. Send in donations also if you are willing to support, if you got some extra money. Dane says Mo, I think he was trying to say no. But unfortunately, his fingers are a little too big. Well, I'm looking for something to play. How is your Trump presidency going to hurt you? Tariffs are going to hurt everybody. Tariffs that are going to make everyday products more expensive. That are going to make raw materials to produce certain goods more expensive. So Donald Trump saying, like, we want to build in America. Okay, he's going to make the raw goods you need to construct things, like the steel, the cement, the wood, whatever. He's going to make that more expensive. And he's going to make the production of things more expensive by making the raw materials you need to construct things more expensive. So yes, everybody's going to be affected by that. You know? Me, you, everybody. Across the board tariffs are economically ridiculous. No economist supports it. Let's all listen to 20-year-old versus the billionaire. You know what? I would actually trust a typical 20-year-old over a billionaire. The person here says, I've been building for 30 years. That's not how it works, my friend. Yes, it is how it works. Raw materials, you get it from all across the world. A lot of timber is imported into the United States from Canada. You tax across the board all goods coming in from Canada, including the timber. It will make basic wood more expensive. I've also, and you're saying that you work in construction, brother, I've had people that work in construction tell me exactly what I'm saying to you. So, I mean, you can have conversations with people like that. And he says he's already trying to end working class tax credits. That's completely unsurprising. Like I said, his tax policy is not written with you guys in mind. His tax policy is written for his friends, for the oligarchs. Barack Obama himself is in chat. Hello, Obama. You just came onto a debate stream, and I'm about to end stream because I've been at it for a few hours. But shout out to you, Obama. Thanks for watching. I can't believe a former president is in my chat right now. It's actually crazy. But shout out to you. This person says too long. I don't know what too long. What they're saying is too long. Folks, if you want to support this content, you can support this content. Support real independent media by subscribing, liking, hitting that bell to get notified when I stream, and all that stuff. This person says, Dumpster Don better brace for himself. Ontario, Canada, Minister Doug Ford is about to bake his bread. You know, honestly, I agree with you. It is kind of interesting that Doug Ford, who is a conservative Canadian politician, has been stronger on Donald Trump than Pierre what's-his-face, the leader of the Conservative Party. Geopolitics is not your strong suit, James says. I think my geopolitics understanding is perfectly well. Obama himself says the Trump presidency so far has been controversial. This very long message here. We are still one of the largest producers of steel and timber due to diverse geographic and conservation laws that China and Canada only have a fraction of. Most construction only buys Americans. I'm sure that there is a lot of construction companies that do buy Americans, but obviously there are construction companies and other industries that take Canadian timber. Otherwise, we wouldn't be importing Canadian timber. So, yeah. We don't necessarily have the infrastructure in like a single month to just suddenly change our entire supply chain that like every single construction company or every single consumer of Canadian timber or Canadian oil or Mexican oil or whatever the product might be is just going to adopt the American-made ones, right? That takes time to build out that infrastructure. And part of that also is like, you know, building the necessary tools. This guy says, talk about the energy from Canada. Yeah, we get oil from Canada. Part of that, I think, is our oil companies really love to export our oil. It's actually interesting. It was actually during one of these debate streams that I looked into oil exports in particular. And since 2016, it was not just a gradual increase of oil exports. It was a spike. And that spike never stopped. It didn't stop under Trump. It didn't stop under Biden. And it's not going to stop under Donald Trump. And it's actually interesting that in a time where, you know, we're dealing with oil problems, that these oil companies still prioritized or still made their effort to keep exporting because it's profitable. You know? It's counterintuitive to the definition of supply chain. If you localize it, it makes things cheaper. Due to low carbon transports, the tariffs are meant to localize. I don't have a problem with localizing, but there is still just things that aren't going to be localized. There are goods that are cheaper still to produce overseas, even when you put a tariff on it. There are products that we do not have in the United States. And again, it takes time to localize. It is not an instant thing. Obama says 2028 will change the world. I agree with you, Obama. I agree with you, Obama. It'll be a big election. It'll be real exciting. If Trump doesn't get to, for example, run for a third term, and you got a situation where it's J.D. Vance or something like that, that's going to be a bit bizarre. I don't think it's going to be good for them. I think MAGA as a concept really can't stand on its own 2 feet without Donald Trump. Donald Trump is such a fundamental part of the quote-unquote populist right. There will still obviously be Republican voters, but any sort of... And even then, by the end of the Donald Trump presidency, it's going to be ass. I'm just going to keep it real with you. Just so you got Trump supporters know, like... the economy will struggle, and he will be blamed by it. or blamed for it. As a result, all Republicans will be hurt, including the Trump brand. It won't be like sexy to be a Trump person, but I think the culture of the Republican Party is still to be Trump, 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 Trump. This person says, you're wrong. You don't know anything, son. Well, we will see. We will see. Be confident. I don't mind you guys having a little too much confidence.
At Progressive, we don't believe in...
Again, just directly. Like, if he just did the tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China, essentially half of all imports into the United States, it will raise cost. Food costs are already going up. Beyond even just the bird flu shit, but eggs are going up. If he then proceeds to also do the military interventions that he's been pushing in Greenland or Canada, Panama, Mexico, whatever, that's going to be unpopular. One of the things he ran on and MAGA kept emphasizing and kept emphasizing and kept emphasizing was he's anti-war, he's anti-war, he's anti-war. And the Republican base already is abandoning that. And they are out here saying, oh, no, 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 no. We're not anti, we're anti dealing with the foreign intervention. We are pro-conquest. That is not the populist message, my friend. In a time where people saw Iraq and Afghanistan and the mess that was the Middle East, yeah, wars of conquest will not be popular. Believe me. Believe me. I missed your big message here. Higher quality product, higher quality outcome. Even if it's not overnight, your base has been pushing a false now bear market outcome. Lord Riz 92. Listen, I think what you're trying to say is that these tariffs are necessary to rebuild American manufacturing, to reindustrialize. It's really not. You don't need to put across-the-board tariffs, which no economist supports, because it will make things rapidly more expensive instantly. That it will cause a trade war, which will hurt American business, right? Because suddenly, we're not able to export to places. And if we are exporting, it'll be more expensive for our companies to deal with. It'll make them hurt. It'll make the overall economy here hurt. A trade war is not good for the economy, bruh. Now, I agree, build in America. But whether you like Joe Biden or not, I don't know how you feel about him, right? But Joe Biden did oversee 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. Joe Biden did oversee the highest public and private investment into manufacturing construction, not a stock, right? We're not talking about just finance here. We're talking about money going into shovels into the ground to build shit in America. And he had his own tariffs, but they were targeted in specific, like a tariff on Chinese electric vehicles to have them not flood into the American market, which satisfied the American auto manufacturers and those manufacturers' workers. Like, there are things you can do, tariffs you can do, policies you can do that will increase manufacturing like we did see in this country. This person here, every trade war since the Cold War has only shown positive growth for the economy. What do you think Panama incident crippled Why do you think Panama incident crippled Venezuela? Because they only had one export and were communists. I can't speak to that specific thing, but in general, trade wars only hurt both sides pretty intensely. And in a time where we have China as a massive manufacturing hub at this point and a fairly modern economy, we're dealing with a real risky trade war where we piss off neighbor after neighbor after neighbor after neighbor, and they get to go to China and say, we want to do more business with you. As Annie said, the farmer needed a $19 billion bailout in Trump's first term, and we're still paying for it. And that was just because I think China put a tariff on soybeans or something. And that trade war was a much smaller scale than what we're working with now based on the promises and the talk that Trump is pushing. When the Great Depression happened, one of the responses to it was to put more tariffs, generate more revenue. Hopefully, their intention was promote American manufacturing and American jobs and so on and so forth. So they did a trade war. And that just hurt the global economy and the United States economy and the businesses, and they laid people off. They laid people off. It was part of the reason why shit was fucked up in the Depression. And there's nothing wrong with Americans getting work, but you get Americans to work through whether it's government programs, whether it's infrastructure construction. And by the way, when you do the infrastructure construction, you can buy American products, whether it's the tools or the materials and so on and so forth, and then you're boosting work and jobs in those industries without necessarily crippling the global economy and therefore your economy. It's basic economics, folks. Both parties are bad because of this conflict. I'm pretty sure it wasn't always like this. That's what Obama says. Third party candidates don't get recognition. I think that's fair. I'm critical of both parties. I don't think they're the same, though. Ultimately, Democrats are better on the social issues. Some Republicans are going to disagree on that. But Democrats are just better on the economics. Even from the more conservative perspective, if you want a smaller deficit, if you want a more controlled handling of the deficit, Democrats tend to do better, whether we're talking about Bill Clinton with a surplus or Obama with 6 out of 8 of his years of being president having a deficit on the decline. Right? This person wants to bring up billionaires again, I guess. But we should tax the hell out of them in the end. We should absolutely tax the hell out of the billionaires. Okay, Lord Riz says, the concept of a tariff is a geopolitical strong arm, so if countries want to trade with us, it's on our terms. Either fall in line or fall by the wayside. Our economy won't be crippled, only theirs. Brother, I'm telling you, our economy will be crippled because we also export shit. And if we're pissing off neighbor after neighbor after neighbor after neighbor, and they do not see America as a reliable trading partner, they will turn to China. Period. We are no... I don't know what you're specifically talking about with this Panama Venezuela shit particularly. What you're referring to there. If it's like something in recent history, I don't know what you could elaborate on that. But again, brother, there is a manufacturing hub in this world that produces products. There are countries with raw materials outside the United States that if we do tariffs and then they do tariffs back on us, they could still do free trade with other countries. And then our companies are hurt in the process because them doing business in foreign countries is more difficult. James says, who is paying you to spread misinformation? This is just facts. If you want to be mad about this, you can be mad about this. This is just economics, brother. The Venezuelans turned communist. Their large exports were oil. We left the canal and traded with the Saudis and UK for oil. Yeah. Okay, well, you're making a point about sanctions and tariffs or whatever. We did not want to do business with Venezuela, and we hurt the Venezuelan economy. And it was also, I believe, the broader West that didn't want to do business with Venezuela. And the Venezuelan economy was super dependent on oil. Yeah, you can hurt other countries. But try that with our biggest trading partners. And I don't know what our status was with Venezuela in the past before the revolution. Right? But something tells me we were doing more trade with the Saudis and the Arabs when it came to oil, than likely the Venezuelans. Nonetheless, I do question the morality of just sanctioning a country because we disagree with their political ideology and trying to isolate them from the world, therefore hurting their economy. That's pretty fucked up. Pretty messed up, frankly. But again, going back to the point, if we do a trade war, brother, that hurts America too. Miss One is like going wild. America voted for what President Trump is doing. Fuck around and find out. Miss Ohm, you the one that's fucking around, and you the one that's gonna find out. Because a lot of motherfuckers know what's going to happen if he gets the shit that he's been promising done. Okay? Chad says, tariffs only make imports more expensive for us. Sellers will increase prices to make make up the shortfall caused by decreased demand. Yep. And this implication that, like, oh, all the manufacturing is just going to go back into the United States of America. Number one, we were already increasing manufacturing in the United States of America. Both investment and literal jobs, okay? Under Biden. Whether you like Biden or not, that's a statistical fact. And you can increase manufacturing without doing a trade war. But, again, we're going to do these tariffs. And some of these companies, particularly when it's, like, cheap goods, it's still going to be more profitable for them to produce on other areas of the world and import it into the United States and just put increased cost in America, in the American stores. Like, if you're making a t-shirt, it's still going to be profitable for you to make t-shirts with fucking Bengali labor or Vietnamese labor, right? So you're going to do that. So some of these tariffs are not even going to stop the things that you don't want, you know, foreign outsourcing and so on and so forth. And it's just going to guaranteed make your shit more expensive. And you're saying here, Una King, buy from the U.S. Again, to buy from the U.S., you need the factories here. To build the factories, you need the wood, you need the steel, you need the cement. And tariffs on foreign wood, steel, and cement is going to make the process of even building factories more expensive. Barack Obama says Harris 2028, though? No, I don't want to see Harris 2028. Steven says, brother, I'm just saying facts, dog. Y'all can get triggered by facts. Kimberly says, see, infantile responses. Yep. No, that's what I expect. I mean, I like these people because they're good for the channel, right? They bring the engagement, right? They serve a purpose. But, you know, I do like responding to them. It's fun. That's the main point of these streams. And sometimes you have good conversations. And the good conversations are very interesting. They're also a little long. You know? They should do John Fetterman. No. John Fetterman is going to switch to the Republican Party. Mark my words. He's going to switch to the Republican Party before 2028. He's too sold out to Israel. But there are pro-Israeli Democrats out there. But John Fetterman's like fucking extreme. Uninformed leftist says, hey, would you be down to chat sometimes? Maybe you could call in, but like I was gonna end stream soon, so not tonight, but maybe like tomorrow. I'm gonna try to plan to stream tomorrow. I'm looking at your channel. Pretty impressive. 5K? And you out here making consistent commentary videos? Hell yeah, man. That's dope. Nathan, whatever your last name is bringing up Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris isn't president, and I don't think Kamala Harris should run for president, okay? I don't know why you're bringing up Kamala Harris. Barack Obama says you guys are mad because he's speaking the truth. It's true. Truth upsets people that want to believe lies. But nonetheless, you should always say the truth. Because those who can handle the truth are the people you should keep around that are worth keeping around. What are your pronouns? I am every single pronoun. No, I'm he, him. The Disconet. Steven, you spelled that wrong. Okay, you corrected. Good job. Good boy. The Disconet from the world is strong with this one. Brother, tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm wrong. Just tell me where I'm wrong, brother. That's it. The mega corporations and the rich want to detain all of the poor immigrants, legal or not, and put them in slavery. They are talking about using Guantanamo Bay as a camp. And, you know, we know the intense spite that the Republican base has, so they don't care about this. But that's fucking insanity, bruh. There's gonna be torture there. Just keep it 100. And like I said, spite. Disgusting, ugly spite. Tristan already out here says, stop deporting them. Feed them to the wood chipper. But that's MAGA. Now imagine if someone said that about the kid in your profile picture. I think you would be upset about that, Tristan. And I'm not saying that should happen to the kid in your profile picture, but I'm saying that you gotta look at all humans as humans, alright? Look at all people as people. Look at people as individuals. Lord Riz is once again pushing the tariff stuff. You're wrong because you brought up examples of tariffs working with the strongest... because we brought up examples of tariffs working with the strongest military arm and support historically with our country in a vacuum. They work. They don't work. Again, when they were implemented in a response to the Depression, they made the Depression worse. They hurt American business. They hurt the global economy, and the global economy hurt our economy. If you want to refer to a time where tariffs were a bit more mainstream, that was a bit more of a mercantile period. And yes, the late 1800s is very different than the 2000s. Tristan, I hope you and your kid are able to live in a country where, if you have a medical condition, you will never go broke. Alright? And Steven out here saying wood chipper 24. Just to be clear, this is MAGA. This is MAGA. I will never believe anything else. Y'all are out here saying, put human beings in fucking wood chippers. I think you should go fuck yourself, man. That's disgusting, bro. But one of the benefits of this, you know, Steven says trolled. I have a feeling that you might be a kid, Steven. Like, you might actually be like a child. So I don't want to hate on you too much. Either a child or a really old dude, like a boomer. But, no, it's not really trolling to say, like, a fucked up position and be like, this is my position. Haha, trolled. Haha, you got trolled. I want to kill people. Haha, you got trolled. Dave, what I'm saying with MAGA, I'm referring to the Trump voter, the Trump super fan, generally. Not just the person that voted for Trump because they weren't satisfied about the state of the economy, so they wanted an alternative, but the people that are dedicated to Donald Trump, that look up to him, that admire him, that see him as a hero. That's what I'm talking about. His base. You know? Is it possible for New Jersey flips and turns red in 2028? I don't believe that'll be the case because I think in 2028 it'll be generally a good year for Democrats because, Republicans are going to fuck up economically, and that will ultimately be good politically, for Dems. And in a state like New Jersey where it leans towards Democrats in the first place, it'll be good for them. Steven says, most are chanting chipper 24. I think there was like 2 people that chanted that you want to throw human beings in a wood chipper. And, I want you to think about your family members in a wood chipper. I recommend you think about that, okay? Will North Carolina, my state, go blue after 20 years in 2028? It's possible. I mean, you guys have a pretty decent state party. I'm not going to lie. You guys make an organizing effort. Dave says, you mean the majority of voters who elected him, they're all wrong and you're tight? Do you hate democracy? Dave, I didn't know that just because, like, somebody wins an election, you have to agree with them 100%. That is a bizarre perspective to have. Boots on their neck and they're licking the bullshit. Yep. They love the boots. They love the boots. Steve says, my voice is higher pitch, get it right, if you're going to mimic. Your voice is higher pitch? I don't understand what point you're bringing up there. Alright, one person calling in. 413 area code. Let's make this quick. What's on your mind?
So, buddy, how you doing? I'm just calling, right, because it's like I'm seeing and what I'm saying to everybody around me. Is it worth it that they take out the immigrants? Yes, it is. Is it worth it that we go back to those jobs and we get paid more? Yes, it is. You know, are we going to keep playing the games of both sides? We can't.
Yeah, well, I would like to see that actually happen, but in general, when you remove 40% of a large industry, a massive industry like American agriculture, it's not just going to be filled overnight, especially when many Americans are in different industries. And if it was just going to be filled overnight, there would not be concerns of job shortages.
Yeah, but he's taking out the criminals first, and then people that are not paying taxes. You know, if you've been working here, paying taxes.
Well, I haven't seen any statement of Donald Trump saying we're exclusively taking out criminals first. I've seen a lot of statements from MAGA types in general, including politicians, that say all of them are criminals simply by crossing that border illegally. So anybody's a target. And in general, they have that Donald Trump has pushed and forced like a quota. So they're gonna get thousands and thousands and thousands of people as much as possible, fast as possible. They have a quota to meet. So in that result or in that situation, you're not gonna exclusively focus on people that do dangerous crimes.
I've seen in the Spanish media, like them with the Mexicans, that they're being like, if you tell ICE, show ICE your documentation that you've been paying taxes and all that, then let them go. There was a guy just saying it recently that I saw him. He said, they let me go because I showed them that I came to this country and I'm paying my taxes and I'm going to...
Well, most illegal immigrants do pay into taxes. So if all those people stick around that have been here for years, have been working, and have been paying taxes, I'd be satisfied with that. Though I would want them to become legal citizens, and we need to make a more efficient process for that.
The thing that we have to do is to get a champion somebody, then do the same thing that the president of El Salvador is doing, the same wise as the president of Argentina is doing, and doing the same thing that...
Brother, the president of Argentina and Donald Trump have very different ideas. If you're saying that we're just going to do the same thing that they're doing, I don't know, that's very contrast with Donald Trump's ideas, okay?
There's no contrast, because right now what they're doing is number one.
There is a contrast.
They're pushing away...
Malay is an ANCAP. He believes in full free
trade. They have to push away the elite. That's the truth.
Excuse me. Malay is an ANCAP who believes in full free trade with no restrictions. Donald Trump has talked about protectionism, tariffs. That's about as opposite of a position you can get. Donald Trump is pro-trade war. Malay is ideologically against literally any restrictions on trade. And in addition, Malay has overseen a rapid rise of poverty, over half of the population in poverty. Malay has also been pushing regulation to make work hours longer. Malay has also been pushing legislation to make work hours longer and make it so that the companies can pay you not just in regular money and proper money, but in essentially credit. So monopoly money.
Well, that's not monopoly money. He does
credit for the company that you can use whatever your boss allows you to use. I think you should just get paid with money.
They're trying to fix their countries, and they're trying to push every elite, any influence.
No. I mean, elites love deregulation and anarcho-capitalism. It only benefits the elites. There's a reason why the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, likes Malay. Do you think Elon Musk is not an elite?
Elon Musk is an elite, and I'm not. I'm against any elite having any influence in the government.
And Donald Trump has given Elon Musk an office in the White House and in Mar-a-Lago.
He has, but that's what we got right now. He's trying to help the way that he can to help us as a country. You know,
so you're against the elites, but you'll trust the elites, and you'll allow the elites to have literal offices in our government without ever being elected because they are massive donors to a politician.
I'm wishing for a president like El Salvador, like Bukele. Bukele has.
But hold on, you're kind of moving away from the point. You said you're anti-elite. Elon Musk is an elite, but you are okay with an elite who was never elected,
Well, right.
who donates to
We
politicians,
got.
getting
If
offices.
we have beans
White
to
House.
eat, if we have beans to eat, and we wish to have meat, but there's no meat to eat, you know what we eat ourselves? No. What the thing is that I'm saying is we do really have to plan ourselves, champion somebody that they don't have nothing negative against him, and that he can bring a good rhetoric and say, you know what, we're gonna push the elites out. And the politicians that work here, we got to take away from them the
But again,
advantage of
you know,
having all the information of
the people that you reference are
market.
not the people that you reference are not necessarily pushing the elites out. Malay again wants employers, wants
That's the only
corporations
you
to
have
be
to
able
do.
to make you work overtime and not pay you for overtime and pay you
I've been
with
that way,
fake
but I
money.
that since Biden and Obama. That I was working a lot of hours and wasn't.
Brother, you're going a lot of different paths. I want you to focus on this. You say you want to be anti-elite, but you have supported the guy in Argentina that wants the elites to work you to death and pay you with monopoly money.
No, they're not paying with monopoly money because I'm gonna tell you right now,
Yeah,
it's GDP.
credit, not real money. Company provided credit where your boss decides what's okay you can pay for. I think we figured this out a long time ago that wages should be done with real money.
Then why did he win? People are tired. People
Why
are
did he
trying
win?
to.
I mean, bad people can win elections, right? Hamas won an election, Putin won an election. You know, I don't think you like Biden, but Biden won an election, right? So like we can see people that win elections, and we can
Hamas
criticize them.
Hamas won an election because nobody from Gaza, no politician in Gaza was brave enough to confront Israel.
Brother, the point I'm saying to you is that bad people can win elections. That doesn't mean you have to agree with every single policy prescription that they do.
I don't agree with it.
Especially when their policy raises poverty to over 50%, and when they want you to work to the bone.
Well, the same thing is happening in America. You have to work 60 hours. You can't rest. Because these companies.
And Donald Trump just removed a member of the National Labor Relations Board, meaning that currently the NLRB cannot function or cannot handle any of the labor disputes between employers and unions, so workers and unions. So yeah, he gave a massive gift to the elites to exploit their workers even more, and the government will not intervene.
Well, that's it's tit for tat. We have to give him something so he can give us something.
He's not giving us anything, really.
Yeah. Well, right now, like everybody feels like a little bit comfortable, and it's not only on the Caucasian area.
You're saying everybody feels comfortable.
People are feeling right. Well, look, I'm from Vermont, right, and Massachusetts, because I travel an hour and a half to go to work.
Yeah.
Now, Vermont are happy that things are going that way, so people can have jobs.
People in Vermont did not. Donald Trump didn't win in Vermont. Like, you can talk to people, you can interact with people, and they can have positive feelings about Donald Trump, but those are like anecdotal interactions, right? It doesn't reflect the macro picture. It's one tree in a bigger forest.
Not comfortable with Donald Trump are the liberals. Come on, let's be real.
Well, you're saying the liberals, but in general, Donald Trump isn't exactly popular. Neither are like the Democratic Party per se. Most of our politicians are not popular. But again, you're out here talking about Vermont, and you're saying like, oh yeah, I talked to these people in Vermont. They're all so happy about Donald Trump. Again, the people you don't talk to represents the majority.
LGBTQ are angry. That's for sure.
The what are angry?
the LGBTQ community is really angry at it.
Yeah, unsurprisingly, the LGBTQ community does not fuck with the Republican, but that's pretty much the standard situation since forever. That's not like a Donald Trump. That's not like a Donald Trump exclusive thing. But yes, also union workers are not happy with Donald Trump when the National Labor Relations Board is stalled so that they can't handle any disputes, and that businesses, big business, can do whatever the hell they want. You know what I mean? It is not good when Donald Trump deregulates the chemical companies, since a lot of y'all are like, make America healthy again, and lets the PFAS, the forever chemicals that cause cancer, into the air and into the water. It's not good when he stops Medicare from negotiating drug prices, right? So that's bad for people.
I'm not right on that, because I've been seeing it. All the chemicals that they putting in our toothpaste, in the hamburgers, in the fries, on the potatoes, basically, on anything that we consume as food.
And Donald Trump will let them do whatever the hell they want.
So that's, like I said, so then we should champion somebody, number one, that they don't have nothing negative on that person.
That's why I voted for Bernie back in 2020.
Oh, no, me too. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Hey, I voted for Bernie, and then I'm not going to lie, I was rooting for Hillary Clinton, because the Clinton over here, they had a superávit. You know, everybody, we didn't have no debt when Bill was around.
That's a fair point. Hey, I respect you for acknowledging that, because a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that. And I'm not particularly a big fan of the Clintons, like, at all. But I do give them credit. Well, I give Bill credit for, like, yeah, he did make a surplus.
He made a surplus over here, and then what happened? When he made that surplus, here comes the Bush and made it worse.
Yep. So, hey, I respect you for saying that, like, genuinely. I think you're being very real when you say you want someone that's gonna fight the elites. I completely agree, but I will say, respectfully, that is not gonna come out of the Republican Party in the next, like, multiple decades.
Not of the Republican Party. It's not coming out from, not even from the Democratic Party.
There's a lot of it. There's a lot of establishment Democrats out there, but I've been to, like, the inside of the party, right? And there is a lot more. There's a lot more, like, real people in the inside. Hold on, I'm gonna put someone on hold real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna put you on hold and go to you after. All right, stay on hold. All right. All right. Yeah, you're saying?
Yeah, I'm not saying that we should make a socialist party, because we don't need a socialist party, but we do need a party that first does the same thing that the president of El Salvador did. He did the best thing for his country. They said
I'll be honest. I do not think that president is a good model for particularly America. We've done war on drug stuff before, and it hasn't really solved the problem. Ultimately, in the United States of America, though, for the last multiple decades, we've seen crime go down, violent crime, raves, and so on and so forth, that we do not need to do, like, some kind of, like, El Salvador style handling of our situation. El Salvador is a very unique case where they were overwhelmed with crime and murder. So I don't even particularly blame someone in El Salvador for supporting, like, an aggressive policing policy, but we just do not need that in America when it's been going down and down and down. So hold on.
His GDP went 3% up. Everything has been doing good on him. He wants to retire because he wants to give an opportunity to other people. You know,
you're talking about the El Salvador guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe he brought crime down. I'm not talking about his statistics. I'm saying that he's in a completely different situation than the United States, where our numbers have already been decreasing for decades without needing to do something as extreme as what's been going on in El Salvador. We don't need to do that.
No, we're in the extreme that
also, to be honest with El Salvador, this guy, the gentleman there, the president, is, like, obsessed with crypto. We have a crypto guy in the White House right now, and he just scammed his followers with that meme coin, right? So
But-
honestly, we don't need more crypto bros in office.
Oh well, we need it. Like I said, we need to raise our minimum federal the federal wage. Number one. Number
I agree.
two. Right now, I'm a little bit worried because the president of Mexico is making a call of war in case of anything, and then it's gonna be an internal war over here in the United States. Number one.
Well,
and then
I have never seen her say a call for war.
no.
Donald Trump and his team have shown interest and have made efforts into starting military operations in Mexico without the country's permission. Yes, if somebody did that to us, we would absolutely respond in the most violent way possible. So we should be very cautious about doing military action to any country, particularly in a country right by our border.
Anthem means she says, well, if Donald Trump wants to invade Mexico, we have our national anthem. And the national anthem is
yes, if a country invades another country, it's unsurprising that the people of that country would defend themselves. So it's
But
really, I don't blame her at all. It's on Trump if he wants to choose to invade.
Listen, they're always saying they have a big fight against drugs, right? But who are the ones that have the drugs coming in?
Usually, like particularly fentanyl, it's coming through legal ports of entry and being trafficked by American citizens.
Yeah, but it's coming through Mexico too, because Mexico is right now doing fentanyl.
No, it's coming through the ports. It's coming through the airports. I think a lot of the fentanyl is being produced in China simply because there is demand for the product.
Yeah, but they get it through Mexico now.
No, you don't need to go through Mexico if you're going through a port or if you're going through an airport.
No, I know.
I'm sure and again, the whole process is being done by American citizens. Ultimately, though, what we did see through collaboration with Mexico is border crossings were down like 98% in 2024, like last year. Ultimately, Mexico has been collaborating with us when it comes to dealing with like crime, and the way you go about dealing with the crime issue is not just bombing another country or sending special forces, doing any form of military action without that country's permission, because that's a violation of our sovereignty. Trump declared the cartels a terrorist group, which is the same tactic that Bush did to do military actions in countries across the world without having to declare war on them during the war on terror. Like, we've seen this playbook before, you know?
Oh, yeah, I've seen it before. Hey, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iraq. First Iraq.
Yep. Yep.
You know, and then we've seen Sudan. You know why in Somalia they have pirates in Somalia? Because they were fishermen. And because all their fish were killed and destroyed by all the big tanks, big ships. You know, everything, all the commerce that they were doing with the big ships, they killed all their fishes. How are they going to feed? See, nobody ever thinks about, we have to protect business no matter who we kill.
100%.
And that's
100%.
wrong.
Yep.
So I believe that we should champion somebody. We should champion somebody.
I think, personally, I would recommend, and I base this on records, if we're voting for, like, presidential candidates in 2028. No presidential candidate is going to be perfect, but I would want Tim Walz to run for president. I'd be open to Gretchen Whitmer. J.B. Pritzker seems promising as well, to a degree, but, like, he's, like, lower on my list compared to those two. Tim Walz ultimately has a good record of actually improving lives of people in his state, including things that the MAGA folks claim to care about, like banning the forever chemicals, the PFAS. He did it. You know what I mean?
One of the things I really wish that do really happen is any politicians with dual citizenship from another country shouldn't be in our Senate or in our Congress.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That would probably affect some people. I think that would affect Brian Mass, probably.
Influence, because right now, you know, we're killing people in Gaza, right?
Yep.
And they made a treaty, right? Apparently, they They signed up for truce.
Yeah.
And now they hearing that Israel is killing people on the northern part.
Yeah, no, that
Huh?
doesn't surprise me at all. I also heard similar reports of Israel not following through with that truce, and it,
So
and Donald Trump is definitely just gonna let them do whatever the hell they want.
right now, the thing is, right? No, and I heard and I saw. I told you I'm not in accordance with him, but there's some tactics, some tactics that he has to put on. You know that it's tit for tat. We want some things for us so we can work and get paid more.
Yeah,
You know,
the thing with Trump, particularly with the Israel issue, he already got the money from Marianne Nadelson. Like he got what he wanted from that, and now it's him giving her what she wants, and what she wants is potentially the West Bank, which is like the other part of Palestine east of Gaza, as the bigger portion of Palestine. It's her. I think
and
she wants that to be annexed by Israel. So Trump's probably gonna
no,
let that happen.
it's not gonna allow to happen. I'm telling you right now. For what I'm hearing, because I'm Muslim and I'm checking everything all on the Islamic channels,
Yeah.
and a big bad dog for the Ottoman Empire, now known as Turkey. And
Yeah.
Turkey is willing and they start asking to go to Israel. And
Uh-huh.
and they plan that they're going to try to avoid Israel taking the southern part, the Mount of Golem.
I think they already took the Golan Heights to be like maybe it's yeah. I don't know if it's another area that just has the same name, but yeah.
They're going to be away. See, because once that Turkey gets into Lebanon,
Yeah.
and from Lebanon, they'll go to Israel. And that's going to be the ugliest war there is going to be. There is going to be. And the only ones, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not against the Jews. See?
Yeah. I'm
My
100% with you with there. 100%.
wife is an Arab, right?
Yeah.
And my wife, I'm not saying this, and they're going to say, oh, you anti-Semitic. No, because I'm married to an Arab. The only
Yeah.
thing that I don't like that you go invade at this time and age. You
Yeah.
go invade place, kick people out, gentrify yourself in that area, and say that you have the right to defend yourself when you're
Yep.
killing people, making your own laws from the people that live there.
Yep.
You know?
100% agree. 100% agree. Yeah,
Tell me that
we definitely need people. We
there's
definitely
a
need people that'll stand up to these people.
but at the same time, they think that they're gonna take the whole area. I'm sorry to say, but no. Now
I am very curious, based on what you said, to see how Turkey will act, because Turkey has always been a wild card in the region, and
Yeah.
Turkey for the longest time kind of gets to sort of play a sort of in between role of like, yeah, we're definitely the leaders of the Muslim world, and we will stand up for our fellow Muslims, but they still are very like Western aligned, and they get along with the U.S. and they don't quite fully intervene a lot with this Israel stuff. So we'll see. But brother, I was gonna get off stream a while ago. I went like an extra hour. I appreciate you calling in, and we have our disagreements, but I think you are coming from a good heart, and I appreciate your time, man.
No,
Thank you
we
for
may
calling in.
have some
Oh.
things, but I do appreciate that you do bring a lot of stuff that I'm in agreement with you, and this is America. We can agree and disagree, but doesn't make us enemies.
100%, 100%. And Kimberly in the chat, I'm glad you enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for the sub. All right, man. Have a good day. All right.
Okay, buddy. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Bye.
All right. I love Steven. You've been watching for like an hour or so, and you're like so like angry. I suppose. I don't know. I don't know what's in your head. But anyway, Let me play a song to end us out. What is a good song to end us out? What's a good song? What's a good song? What's a banger? Steve says, I don't think anyone was listening to the conversation. Kimberly was. I mean, you literally have somebody there saying that they were, right? You feel me? You could just be real with yourself and read. Excuse me. What does it mean to play us out? I'm looking for a song to play. A MIDI song. Or something that's not going to be copyright, you know? But I'm trying to think of, like, what is a banger? You know? What's a banger song to play? This song might be copyright. Anyway, I don't need that. I'm gonna head out now. Appreciate your time. I'm gonna see y'all later.